me live it. So for me,
One second, let me do the
I want to
intro
say,
over because I had to re-record this. So, guys, welcome to the first episode of the podcast. My name is Dwayne Burns, and I'm going to be your host today. This is the Alignment in Light podcast. This podcast is about increasing awareness, knowledge, sharing information, and one iron sharpening another. So we're all here to collectively learn more so that we can do better and make the world a better place. And we have a special guest, Mr. Eric McCrae, who's just given us his story. We had to start the podcast over, so we're going to start from the beginning. He's from Modesto, California. He lived there most of his life, born in the Bay Area. That's correct.
mhm.
And he decided to take on the Church of Latter-day Saints, the faith. And what age was it that you discovered it?
I was 16.
At 16 years old. And you're now living in Utah?
Yeah, Provo, down the street from BYU.
So he's currently in Provo, Utah, currently down the street from BYU. If you guys don't know, that's Brigham Young University. Okay. He also was telling us you're born in a two-parent home. And what's your ethnic background?
Mhm.
What's your ethnic background?
I'm Black, but my aunties have done more family history, and so there's
What
also, I
is
believe, it was
Black?
Choctaw.
What is Black?
Well, I'm assuming just African descent, but there is Choctaw in there because my mom's family has done family history on her side because we're originally from the South, Oklahoma, Louisiana area.
Gotcha. So you don't know your ethnic background.
Not specifically, no. My like I said, my aunties have done most of the family history.
Gotcha. Makes total sense. And so what's your relationship like with your parents?
I'd say overall it's good. I mean, it wasn't as help. I mean, with my mom it was always great, but with my dad it was always a little rough.
What
Like for,
the?
for me growing up,
So
why?
let me ask you this. Are you mad at your father?
I used to be years ago, but then I realized there's no need to have that kind of animosity towards somebody who was just a human being,
Do you judge
So I
him?
decided to just let it go.
Do you judge
Huh?
him? Do you feel like you judge him?
Yeah, I was pretty judgmental back in the day of them.
Why?
Just growing up, I saw my mom struggle a lot with bills. And my dad, of course, he has his issues here and there, and I'm never going to take that away from him. But I still feel like as a man, you should always do your best to provide. But growing up, you
So do you
realize,
feel like
not
what does
everybody.
it mean? What does it mean to provide?
Basically just finances.
So you feel like
I
men's
mean,
job is to give women money.
if you're married and you have a family, yes, that is definitely one of your main goals.
So if you sign a contract and you have children, your job is now to give her money.
For
I'm just trying
for
to
the whole
clarify and
for the whole family,
give the whole
yes.
family money. I got you. Okay, so
Well,
perfect.
pay
And so
bills.
why do you feel like that is what the role of a man is?
Basically, since the beginning of time, immoral. Obviously, we've been hunters and gatherers, and the females have been the ones staying at home. Now, obviously, those things change due to technology. Obviously,
What
females now,
what civilization of people are you referring to?
just human beings in general.
Do you really feel like that's true?
Well, not in this day and age, it's different now.
But
So
you
you
feel
have
like it
to,
was like that primarily in the ancient world, is what you're saying.
yeah. So, but you obviously you have to adapt due to technology, due to females having the ability to work now. So now we got to do extra work in terms of trying to keep up with them.
So you didn't feel like women worked back then?
They did, but they did more of the motherly work. They reared up the children. They taught the youth, the laws. I don't know. The way I see it is they had a very important role at home, and the men had a very important role outside of home in terms of protection and providing.
Okay,
But like I said, now it's different.
gotcha. And so let me ask you this question. Do you feel like there's a possibility that some of the reasons that your father and mother might not have stayed in their relationship might have been your mother's fault?
Oh, trust me. Like I said, as I got older, I realized, okay, I understand where she may have did some things here and there. He did some things also. And if you were to ask my cousins, they'd go back and forth on who started it, and they all got their own opinions about it. But for me, it doesn't really matter, just because I realized at 17, nobody's going to be a good father or a good mother. But my mother definitely did her best to overcome those trials, of course, at a young age and provide.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask you this question. When it comes to your relationship to your mother, do you feel like you sympathize with women? Do you feel sorry for them?
No, no, I don't really do that self pity stuff.
Okay.
That's not really my style.
Let me ask you this question as well. So who controls access to children, like to the reproduction of humanity? Who
To
controls that?
the like who controls giving birth?
Yes.
The female.
So every child that was born on this earth came here because a woman decided to bring them here, right?
Yep.
Okay. So let me ask this question because it's a very interesting topic, especially when you start. And I had a same awakening. I had to recalibrate my ideas and philosophies on life that resulted in, or that were beliefs that were formed by childhood trauma. So I feel like and it's very prevalent in the Black community.
You're not wrong.
Very prevalent. We're very unhealed as far as like childhood trauma, uh, the things that happened with our parents, because we weren't allowed to talk about it in the time that we grew up in. It
Of
was just
course, it was
it
just
was a
part of
very different
life.
time. Yeah, and we thought that was normal, and that's not the way the whole world functions. So it's definitely something to be discussed. And so my thing though is what I wanted to get into. You remember we were having a discussion. Do you remember what the Facebook post was and the comments that we kind of started that conversation, but we didn't really get a chance to dive into that.
I actually forgot.
I got you. Really, essentially, what I was saying was is that because you were basically saying that real men, whatever that means, uh, should do the opposite of Andrew Tate. And I wanted you to a little
That's
bit
what it was.
elaborate on that. Yeah, about why you feel like Andrew Tate is bad or a negative male influence, perhaps, or however it is that you would describe what your outlook is on him. I would love to dive a little deeper into your comments and find out a little bit more what your position is and what ideas of his maybe you disagree with even. Because I feel like he carries a large weight in the manosphere, so to speak, or I'm not sure what that the community is called, the red pill people.
Yeah. Red
Uh,
pill, black pill,
what,
manosphere.
yeah, whatever, all that stuff. That's great, because there's two energies that express themselves differently. You have masculine energy and feminine energy. And so a lot of us, we empathize more or have sympathy for women because we were raised with the traumas of our mother's struggle. So what ends up happening is we empathize with our mothers, and because we love our mothers, we see the world through our mother's eyes because we love her.
Yep.
So what ends up happening is there's have you ever heard of the social hierarchy of men, like alphas, betas, deltas?
Oh,
People only talk about alphas and betas, and people actually really don't understand uh, the hierarchy as in depth as they should, because they think that being a beta male is bad or low on the totem pole, when most people are actually deltas. Betas are second in commands. These are people who are vice presidents of companies. These are people who, are chairmen or they're important executives, but they're not the number one top guy.
so pretty much the Scottie Pippins or the
The
Dennis
Michael
Rodmans.
Jordans, the Robert Smiths, the top alpha dog leaders.
Yeah. No, I got you.
And what ends up happening is when I feel like when we haven't developed in our masculinity, we tend to hold a negative viewpoint about superior masculine men, or we attach a negative connotation around the idea of men doing what it is that they wish or imposing their will on their environment. And while I agree that sometimes masculine energy and feminine energy don't agree, like when parents don't break up, it doesn't really mean that either party was wrong. But the masculine energy has desires that it were not met, or whatever the case is, or circumstances change. And the feminine energy is in self-interest as well. And so what ends up happening is that you have what is it called? You have alphas at the top, you have sigmas, which are lone wolves, then you have betas, then you have deltas, then you have omegas. Omegas are the bottom of the social hierarchy of men. So what ends up happening is most people are in the delta class. These are people who do their job and don't complain, and they are fully in scope of reality as far as where they fit in the hierarchy of men. Like, so for example, firefighters, police officers, first responders, these are people who are in the what I call the noble working class. So it's like these are the people who work the hardest, they're the people who make the world go round, but they don't complain about how much they make. They're not disillusioned into thinking they should be a billionaire or the spokesperson for groups of people. They're just very living in reality. The betas are the married men, to be honest, a lot of the time. And you can, what most people don't realize is that you can change positions on the socioeconomic ladder, and there's multiple that you could be a part of. So for example, I'm a CEO, and in my business, I'm the alpha. I'm also a black belt in Taekwondo. So I might be an alpha in the Taekwondo arena, but when I go to Jiu-Jitsu and I'm a white belt, I'm at the bottom of the food chain there. So we all belong to multiple hierarchies or social groups where we rank.
Oh yeah. No, I agree with that.
The betas tend to sympathize or empathize with women more. So what ends up happening is married men put the needs of the women above their own needs a lot of the
Yep.
times. And there's nothing wrong with that, which is why what happens is most women want to marry beta males. The guy that she's sexually attracted to is never the guy she marries, because he's not safe for what she wants. But what she wants does not necessitate that what she wants is how things should be, which is where the disconnect between a lot of times understanding the differences between masculine and feminine as they work together and as they function separately, that I feel like people have to pay more attention to, because neither side is wrong. Sometimes it's hard for us to accept that we're literally just playing out the pursuit of our own selfish desires in life. And other people are not wrong for not giving us whatever it is that they want from them. See what I'm saying?
No, I understand that. So basically, you're talking about, basically realism by knowing your place in society in the moment.
100%, because if you don't have that form of realism where you can do introspection, you're not going to move up the ladder of importance. Like if you can't see what you really are, who you really are, acknowledge that, and then make changes so that whatever things that are holding you back from achieving more, having more, whatever it is, you can remove those things merely by taking notice of them. And the hardest thing
Yeah.
for us to do is notice our own faults.
Oh yeah, it's funny. Actually, I do agree with that, because I remember something I've learned since I was 18 into the workforce. You have a lot of what did my old soup say back in Florida? You have a lot of Indian chiefs, not enough Indians.
100%.
And a lot of people want to be Jordan or LeBron, but one thing I've learned is you still need somebody like Scottie Pippen or Dennis Rodman or whoever to pass the ball to those players. And for me, I've learned, like you said, throughout the years, humbling myself that I do have a specific place in this moment, which doesn't mean, as you said, that you
It's
can't move up.
permanent. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's not permanent.
But what I'm saying is that, like in a business, you can obviously move up, move around, but at the end of the day, if you have to fill in a certain spot, like a beta spot, then fill in that spot until, and for me, you can find something better. So I definitely understand, and agree with what you're saying for the most part, and it makes total sense.
If you look at spiritual principles in the Bible it talks about not being jealous or wanting what your neighbor has, because you have what you have because you earned it, and they have what they have because they earned it.
Yeah.
So it's like disillusionment is a big part of why we're all living in a grand illusion to get that we all participate in together. And we're all trying to pretend like things are not what they are. So that's why I always get people to like do some realism introspection and be like, do my beliefs align with reality?
Yeah. No, I agree with that. That's one of the reasons why I decided to just go for a whim and just pick a college career, which is why I picked career writing, or
But
sorry,
listen,
creative writing.
listen to the language that you're using in this conversation. You just said you went on a whim.
Yep.
What does that mean, bro?
That means at 30, here's my biggest issue with college. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I figured at 30, I figured, all right, I need to do something, a trade or a college or something to, fall back on. So I decided to ask myself, what do I like to do? I like politics, I like religion, philosophy, and I like reading these articles. So let me take creative writing so I can, you know, put myself out there in a very creative way. So which is why I'm taking this
But
class.
do you see how you might be holding yourself back from the abundance that God has for you by placing a limitation on your outcomes? Because it's like you get what you pray for, right? At best.
Yeah.
So if I only pray for a little, even if I get what I pray for, it's the little I prayed for. Why not pray for a lot? Like even when people think about like what should they do with their life, like what do you want to do? Like I feel like people don't have the courage to be the kind of person that just does what the fuck they want to do.
Well, that's what I've been doing for the past like decade.
But no, but this is what I'm saying. Like, why stop now? What's got you scared? What made you say, I'm
Oh,
going to deter off the path of what I want to do and I'm going to settle for, you know what? I'm 30 years old and now I think I need to make a permanent decision about something. And I'm not, this is not like a knock to say you shouldn't have gone to college or you should not have taken creative writing or you need to question that decision. That's not what I'm getting at. I'm just more so getting at like, are you still a dreamer? Like you remember like when we're kids and like we're like we believe we could be an astronaut or like a
oh
fucking
yeah.
physicist. And then like somewhere along the lines, we're like, I'm gonna be like a publicist. And it's like what
Yeah.
happened in between astronaut to manager at Subway?
Well, I think one thing that I've learned is that since I've been moving around the U.S., I've done multiple jobs. From pest control to salesman to credit repair agent, just everything you think of, I've done it, and I've been across the United States from the west to the east coast, and
Mm-hmm.
so I've done all these jobs, and I figured to myself, okay, some of these jobs are good, but for the most part, let me just do something that's concrete that I actually do appreciate. And that's what, again, that's when, my idea was creative writing, because I really do like writing. And I do respect the greats, such as Mark Twain, writers like that make you really think. And
Mm.
so that's one thing I'm hoping to do with that is just learn to write so I can just put myself out there into the universe.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Um, I also have another question, bro. Do you feel
Hmm.
like you have cultural trauma?
Mm, what do you mean?
Like, do you like black people?
I'm not Uncle Ruckus, if that's what you're getting at.
I would never call anybody a term like that.
I'm sorry, just the way you asked that question. Yes, I like black people.
I mean, I just say when you diminish people down to derogatory terms, I feel like it's not helpful to the conversation. It doesn't help anything. It's not. I don't. Black people exist in a dysphoria of thought and ideas, so I feel like it's very limiting to discredit people's position and reduce them down to, stupid name calling stuff.
No, I can agree with that. Throughout the years on Facebook, I've definitely learned to ease off on the name calling. I mean, regardless if it's true or not, like you said, it often doesn't help with the conversation.
Right. And sometimes we don't realize that because we see the world away, it doesn't mean that that's the way that it is.
Oh yeah,
Like a
no,
lot
yeah,
of
and
us
I
live in
definitely
a
agree with
world
that.
where our positions are based on how we want the world to be and not how it actually is.
Yeah,
That's why I talk about the root of masculinity and living in truth.
yeah. I mean, if you want, we can go directly to, for example, one of your questions, I believe, was what was my issue with the red pill community? And Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to answer your question, here's my issue with Andrew Tate. And I didn't even know about this man until I want to say 6, 7 months ago. And I heard a lot of people making a fuss about him. So I YouTube him, check him out. And just like with most red pill people, it's the same thing with Donald Trump or anybody else. A broken clock is right twice a day, correct? I mean, essentially, the red pill community isn't always wrong. They say some very good things that technically my elders should have taught me growing up, the men in my family. But my issue is I want to say 70% of what comes out of his mouth or anybody who's red pilled isn't a good thing.
Can you
It's
give me
more
an example?
derogatory. For example, when he talks about cheating on your female, it's okay for you to cheat on your female. We had the discussion before over Facebook, me and you,
What's
or
wrong
you
with
and
that?
I. We had the discussion about how it's okay for the male to cheat on his wife, but not for the wife to cheat on the male. And that's something he specifically said, along with
But
other people in the red pill community.
but the
And
Bible
regardless
says
of how
that.
you feel about it,
I
huh?
think, but the Bible says that that's okay too.
Well, I mean, that's fine with the Bible. So the Bible says a lot of things, but we should do our best to also use common sense of what's going to hurt you in
Oh,
your
whoa, whoa,
marriage.
whoa, 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 whoa. Let's backtrack for a second. Do you believe in the Bible?
It depends on what parts of the Bible we're talking about.
So you only believe parts of the Bible.
If we're talking about the New Testament, then yes. The Old Testament, I'll take a few things out of it, like the Ten Commandments, because that's obviously, eternal.
So what made you decide what parts of the Old Testament you wanted to take out?
Just my years of being Christian. And plus, too, it helped that I served the 2-year mission in the South. So
So
there's,
how did that lead you to your position where you said that you accept some but not all of the Old Testament?
well, one thing I've noticed with religious people in general, and again, I served my 2-year mission for the Mormon church when I was Mormon in the South. A lot of people out there interpret the Bible differently. So my issue is with that, some people go really left with it, they go really right, they go really insane. You've seen it yourself. There's different ways to interpret it. So for me personally, I like to use a little bit of
There's
rationality
different
plus
way to interpret it.
spirituality. Hmm?
Uh, so can you say that again? You said that there is different ways to interpret it in the Old Testament.
Well, just any part of the Bible, but I do my best to keep it simple when I do interpret the New Testament.
Okay,
For example, I don't know where it's okay to cheat on your wife.
in the Old Testament,
Anywhere in the Bible.
it was okay to have multiple wives.
Yeah,
So
but at the same
if
time,
what you mean by cheating is dishonesty, then yeah, I would agree that that is a character flaw. But that
but
you
if you're
can't really attribute that to men or the red pill society because the statistics say that women cheat 32% more than men do.
I'm not talking about statistics right now. I'm just talking about morally. Is it right or is it wrong?
What are
And I'm
morals
thinking
based on?
our morals should be based on how we affect other people. For example, let's go with you. Let's say you cheat on your wife. Do you think it's going to upset her?
But what is morally right is not relevant to what upsets her.
It should be
Well, why?
because that's your wife.
And
You had a
so
hmm?
everything that upsets her is morally wrong.
Well, I mean, obviously, if you're rooting for an opposite team that upsets her, that's something different, or politics,
But
obviously. But I'm
that's what
talking
you
about the
said.
legitimate. Well, yeah, no, I'm talking about the legitimate issues of,
I,
infidelity.
okay, so we're begging the question: what do we determine are the what is the standard for what is legitimate to respond to where
Well,
my behavior should be dictated on how you feel?
the standard should be honesty, virtue. When you get married to your wife, obviously you take your vows seriously and you make a promise.
I agree.
So it's simple. If you break that vow, then I mean, I don't know how else to explain it.
But cheating on your wife is not breaking your marriage vows.
Mm.
Nowhere your marriage vows is say, I promise to never have sex with anybody but you.
That should be some common sense things, but common
Keep
sense is
saying
not
that,
common.
but common to who?
Well, I mean, you're right. It depends on the culture. Let's be honest. Like you mentioned before, in the Old Testament, the culture
Here,
is different. Same thing in certain Islamic countries. It's obviously different.
here's what I
But we're
would
talking
say. No,
Western.
bro,
We're talking
don't do
Western
that.
men.
Bro, don't do that, bro. You sound white. You just
How
said,
that's that
did
way?
you, because you just made it seem like Islamic countries are countries where females are just notorious for abuse. That's kind of what you were getting at, bro.
I mean, do they have a lot of rights though compared to Western women though? Do they?
Do they have what?
I'm talking about the women out there in the Middle East. Do they have a lot of rights compared to women in the West?
People in general don't have as many rights as people in the West, not just women.
I know, but I'm just saying though, in terms of just if we're talking about like infidelity and like plural wives and cheating on your woman, it's more okay for the men to do that in those countries. In the
So,
West, it's frowned
what?
upon
Why do you have Western values?
because that's the best way to really look at this. Because
According to who?
well, okay, fine. Then what are you getting at
I'm just trying to learn more about why you have your position. I will tell you my position. I'm not going to withhold that from you. But right now, I'm just trying to discover more about what your position is and where does it come from.
about loyalty?
Is loyalty based on monogamy or fidelity?
I mean, it's based on a lot of things,
Is it
but
based
more.
on fidelity? Is
I mean,
anybody
that's
who cheats on somebody or has a physical encounter with someone other than their primary spouse, is that immoral and they don't care about their partner or they're not loyal to them in other areas?
again, this is when we go back to different cultures. But I'd say if you look at the West,
Come
yes,
on,
it's
bro.
morally wrong.
Don't do that, bro. Don't say if we
That's
go
me
back to
being
different
honest.
cultures. I'm saying me and you, we're both black men in America, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not Islamic. I don't live in the
Okay.
Middle East. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying regular common people. You know what I'm saying? You
Okay.
understand
Well, I
me?
think okay, fine. In general, honest answer, it's wrong to cheat on your wife. It's that point blank. Period.
And
Simple.
why is it wrong?
Why wouldn't it be wrong? Let me ask you that.
But that's not a way to answer or justify your reason. You just said, why is it not wrong? That's like
Well,
saying,
I just already gave
is
you.
the
I
sky
already gave you.
blue? And you say, why is it not red?
Well, no, I already gave you the answer, but you're not
No,
really.
you didn't. I
You're
said,
not giving me much
why
back.
is it wrong? You didn't answer that.
Okay, about 10 minutes ago, I know for a fact I answered the question. It's about loyalty. You take a vow till death do you part. If
But
there was an
the
extra,
vow doesn't include fidelity. I thought we agreed on that.
that should be common sense. It's in there. That should be common
No,
sense.
it's not in there, bro. It's not in the vows. It doesn't say I vow to be uh uh blamelessly practice fidelity for all the days of my life. Bro, like when I talk to you, you know what it kind of sounds like, to be honest with you. And I hope you don't take this as
What?
like a dissonance. It just sounds like you don't hang out with a lot of men.
You mean men who cheat?
No, I'm just saying it sounds like you don't hang out with a lot of men.
I mean, I hang out with married men who respect their women not to cheat on them. Yes.
Do you hang around a lot of men?
Married men, yes.
Black men?
Well, it's Utah, so there's not much of that going on out here.
That's not what I asked. I have
When I
friends
ask you
in
the
Utah
question,
that are black.
there's not a whole lot out here. So the answer is no. That's obvious no.
Okay. Well, no, it's not because I have black friends in Utah that I go see. See, it's all about the networks that you choose to be in. Sometimes you don't realize that you're creating the experience around you. And it might be in part because you're keeping yourself from connecting in places that maybe you haven't addressed certain concepts and hurts that we have as black people, I think, from our childhood, because I had a very similar rejection of self. I did not admire black culture. I didn't feel a part of it. I feel kind of probably how people made you feel, because I feel like you seem very similar to me in that way, where when I was a kid, I wore suits to school. My dad was a very, suit and tie type of person, church
That's
Sunday,
good
Thursday. So people always tell me I was whitewashed
because you dress proper.
and spoke proper English.
Yeah, is that a bad thing according to you?
I don't think it's a bad thing, but I developed an insecurity around my black identity due to what I
So
felt like the feedback was from my black peers.
so based off what you're saying, and I got this before too, and I used to, and I got smart obviously, and decided to push back on this. So being black, does that mean I should like wear a do rag and wear baggy pants? Is that what it means to pass as black now? And speaking
See,
avionics?
See, 3 years ago, I would respond to it the same way you did, and I want to encourage you to think about, at least in part, that Black people as a dysphoria have to overcome a identity crisis that is due to a programming of things that we've been taught about ourselves. Because now I would respond to that same thing, whereas before I really sounded exactly like you, saying the exact same verbiage. But do you understand why they wear the do-rag? Do you understand why bandanas make them a family? Do you understand how the Black male is projected being the king and having dominion over the planet? How your perception about Black men is in partly programmed by white people to give you a form of self-hatred, because people live in this world that's not real. Like, it's a world where there's no violence, everybody talk things out, and it's like behind closed doors, nothing has ever been accomplished that way. It's war and carnage out here. People do die every day over ideas, over people that they have valuable relationships with. Like, the real world is treacherous. The real
Yeah,
world is masculine. It's ruthless, and it highlights the predominant first law of nature, which is self-preservation. So sometimes I feel like people make Black men look bad for doing the same thing that everybody else in humanity does. Like, oh, Black
I don't,
people are criminals. Okay, well, how did white people start the United States? Was it by singing "Kumbaya" and and drawing pictures? Absolutely not. Like, they got here
well,
on
okay.
crime.
Well,
How
that's
can
being a little
think
bit.
about this? How can you steal on stolen land?
How can you what?
How can you steal on stolen land? How is stealing what is stolen stealing?
Well, to be honest, though, you can't really own land anyway. I don't know.
So
I
why
never
do
liked
they
that
claim
argument of owning land.
me either?
But I
So
mean, well, I
why
guess
do
now
they
you
do
can
this?
own land.
So money's a condition, because people who
To own
control
land.
money, they print the money so that we have to use money in order to control resources. So we're being forced to live backwards. So how can we identify with people who are lowering our natural states? Like, this is why it's something like, a lot of times, like, there are groups of all races of people who have good morals, ethics, or are genuinely positively spirited people, want the best for all of humanity. So I'm not uh singling out them as a group and saying, oh, white people are bad or blah blah blah. But what a lot of the times, even the disconnect with the common, this Zoom might go out. I might have to pause this and then
Yeah, we got like a
randomly.
minute left.
1 second. I'm gonna end it and send you a new link right now. Let me pause this. We'll be right back. We're gonna take a short 30-second intermission and we'll be back in action. Welcome back, folks. We're back from a short temporary commercial break. This is the Alignment in
Oh,
Life podcast, and we have our special guest here, Eric McCray. What were you saying, Eric?
also, hey, sorry, real quick. Also got like 15 minutes till the library closes, but yeah, just a little heads up.
No worries. So
So what were you
talk to
saying
me,
though?
my friend. What were we talking about before the break?
You talked about a lot of stuff. You covered a lot of things.
Um, I can't remember.
It,
Jesus.
it went
Um,
from
I feel like I think where I was leaving off is like overcoming the identity crisis
yeah, but I don't feel like
in
I
the
have one
program.
though. Yeah, I was gonna say earlier, I don't think I
If
have one.
if you as a Black man don't surround yourself with a network of people like you, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't have friends of other races. But I'm saying you also belong to a network of people like you. And if you don't have that network in place, there's a disconnect between you and your cultural roots. Because other
I
groups of
don't think
people
that's.
organize with their people first and you last. They will never put you.
I don't think
Nobody.
that's.
I'm not
Well, I
talking
was
about
gonna say I
your
don't think that's
wife.
necessarily true.
I'm not talking about your wife or your friend from high school. I'm talking about the average person in any racial group identifies with their own group first and then socializes with the world from the inside out, not from the outside in.
Hmm. I do see what you're saying, but I don't know. For me personally, the people
But
who I
you're
surround
different.
myself with, well, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm different, but in per se, but at the same time, I've never had an issue with someone just being friends with me and choosing me over anything else. Because most of my friends don't care about that kind of stuff. If you know what I'm saying, like most of my friends don't care about race. It's not an issue.
I think you missed the point.
I probably did.
It, if you don't have a network of people who are like you, who come from where you come from, who are close to family, church, your primary community, right? All racial groups belong to groups of themselves, right? So it's like your family is the same race as you most of the time, right? So we all have different cultural heritages, and it doesn't matter where you're from in the world. We don't judge based on skin color. I'm just saying the structure of society, we deal with people from the inside out, right? Like, and that's all people. So it's like if you find yourself primarily with another group outside of your own, explain to me how that will come to be. Like,
Well, it depends on
do
the
you
demographic.
see, you don't usually see network, or you don't usually see individual white people who hang out with 52 black people. It's very
Well,
not
it
common.
depends. Well, it's not common, no, but at the same time, it depends on where you're at, demographically speaking. For
But
example,
why are
in
you in
Nashville,
Utah?
well, just because it's just cheaper out here.
It's cheaper
There's
in a
no real
lot of
reason.
places.
Yeah, I know, but I've been everywhere almost. So that's why I
And
didn't
you
mind
picked
coming to Utah.
Utah.
Huh?
You didn't mind, or you picked Utah?
No, I didn't mind because Utah is close to California and I can't afford California, but I can afford Utah.
So what made you pick Utah though? You could have picked Nevada. You could
Well,
have picked
I also have
Arizona.
connections. Well, well, like I said, I used to have a lot of Mormon. Well, sorry, I used to be part of the Mormon church, so I have a lot of Mormon friends out here, and we still hang out here and there to this day. So it's familiarity.
And also, bro, and just want you to know, no judgment, brother, ever. Nothing I'm saying is like I don't want you to feel like, oh, he's getting at me, or you know what I'm saying? No, like everything I'm saying
Yo,
respectfully to open the conversation.
no,
But
yeah, no,
like,
no, no.
do
Feel free to ask questions.
you
There's nothing wrong with
you
that.
as a black man, how I don't understand how you feel a connection to Mormonism, bro. Can you help me understand it?
Well, I joined when I was 16, but I don't go anymore, obviously. But I
Oh,
still
so
have
you're
friends in the
not
church.
Mormon right now?
No, no.
Okay, so what is the faith you have now?
Right now, I'm still trying to figure that out. That's up in the air.
I believe that Jesus is going to save you, bro.
He already has. He already has.
He's not done with you yet. He's got more in store for you.
Well, I'm ready for it. I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, it's what I would say is, man, is like, do you see how being Mormon led you into connecting yourself with that group?
Well, no, I definitely see that. Yeah.
So, like, think about it like this: how can two men walk together unless they agree?
Well, do they have to agree on everything?
No, but if the core tenets of someone's principles you don't agree with, how are you guys gonna have a long-lasting relationship or connection?
Well, again, that's where the original discussion came about with the whole entire, morality versus the Bible that we had that discussion about a while ago.
I'm
It's
not talking
just
about
this
the
is real. This
Bible.
is I know. I'm just saying it's the same scenario of rationality. As much as we want to go to the great book for wisdom, we still have this to think about. For example, I may vote a certain kind of way compared to my friends, but I'm not going to let that get in the way of our friendship. Same thing with religious differences.
But that doesn't answer the question. How can two men walk together unless they agree?
But well, again, I'm
Won't
not going to
won't
let something.
one won't one have to steer the other in a direction?
Well, it depends on what our goals are. I mean, if we're both trying to build a house differently, obviously it's not going to work. But if we come together and meet in the middle, we can make it happen.
How do you meet in the middle? You know, it says in the Bible, a man has to be hot or cold, but you can't be lukewarm. Some people haven't realized that you have to pick a side. You can't be
Well, it's called
everybody's
teamwork.
friend.
Yeah.
So, like, in the core of your friendship, do you feel like these are people who would fight and die for you?
Well, I mean, I don't. You can say that about anybody. I'm not. I'm not sure. I'm
So
not sure to answer.
why are you guys friends? Like, what is
Well, okay.
what's the value
Well, if
that
you're
you
talking
get
about,
from their relationship?
well, specifically, if you're talking about my roommate, that's different. I've known him since I was a kid, so we will,
I'm just saying
ride or die
all
for
your
each other.
friends, all your friends in
Well,
general.
no,
Like,
well, yeah, no. Here, I have a very small niche of friends. There's like my small niche, and then there's like the outer circle. And for the outer circle people, I don't know. I can't guarantee that. But for the inner circle, yes, we've been through thick and thin together.
oh, okay, that makes total sense. And so, how did you meet your roommate?
Oh, well, I knew him prior to joining the church back in Prescott. We met back in junior high in
Yeah,
Modesto,
yeah,
and
he's
so
a
we
cool
just kind of
cat.
just grew up together.
Yeah, he's a cool cat, huh? And you guys said, let's go to Utah.
Well, he
And
invited me to Utah. I was in Florida originally, and he kept on saying, "Come out to Utah."
so
So I was like,
influence. You see how the story changed now though? Before it was like,
"Hmm."
well, I just figured Utah is cheaper, or you had all these
Well,
different
it is.
rationalities, but the reality is he influenced you to come to Utah
Well, I did.
because
Well, to be
something was
honest with you,
missing and you felt like you could find it in Utah.
well, no, because I did get tired of Florida. Also, I was super far away from California, and
Bro,
honestly, I didn't want to be that far away from
bro,
California. I
if
still
he
got
not
most of my
if
family's out there.
if he would not have told you to come to Utah, you wouldn't be there, right?
Well, no, I probably still would have gone out there. I was still thinking about it, but he helped me push me in that direction.
So he
Because I was
influenced you to go to Utah then, correct? You
sure you can
just
say
said he
that.
pushed you. Bro,
No, 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 but no,
why are
but
you
no, but
being
you're being
like this, bro?
okay. Oh, okay, now you're being disingenuous because now you're making it seem like he was the main reason I came out.
That's not what I
That's the way
said.
it
I said
sounds.
he influenced you to go to Utah. Then you
Okay,
just
okay,
said
that's
he
fine.
pushed you to
Okay,
go to
just
Utah.
okay, yeah, he did. But the way you made it sound like he told
Hold
me
on,
from day one.
hold on, King. You said the way that I made it sound. I'm about to take you back to us talking about masculine principles because a lot of this comes out in conversations. Did I make it sound a way or did I say a specific thing? Because men
Well, you
should
said
say what
specific.
they mean and mean what they say, right?
Yeah,
So I said what I said. Well, I didn't make it
yeah.
sound anyway.
I know, no, but it just from my point of view,
It
you made it sound
triggered you.
like, huh?
It triggered you because I said he influenced you. That bothered you. Be
Well, no, not the
honest.
influence part.
Be
I don't, I
honest.
don't, I don't.
Bro, I said he influenced you to go to Utah. Then you said after saying like five other things, then you're like, yeah, he kind of pushed me to go to Utah. That's influencing you. So
Well, yeah, no, no, no,
why
no,
didn't you just
you're
agree with
right.
the original
No,
statement?
you're right. That's my fault. I'm just saying in general, though, the way you made it seem was like he was like 99% of the reason why I went to
Bro,
Utah. When in reality,
did I use the word 99%?
okay, you're right. That's my fault. That's my fault. I misinterpreted it. You're right. He influenced me. Okay, he influenced me. All right.
All I said was that he influenced you. That doesn't mean that he was responsible for any specific percentage of your decision. I'm just saying, somebody said, hey, I'm down in Utah, you know what I'm saying? Come down here, you'll fit into a network of friends that you tap into networks based on relationships, right? So all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you, bro, be honest.
What?
You promise?
What? Yeah.
Okay. Why did that trigger you? Why
Well,
did
no,
you
just
not
because.
like the idea that I said that he influenced you to go to Utah, even though that's what happened?
Because I don't want it coming off that I just went out there on a whim. Because, like I said earlier, the full story about Florida is I was out there for a couple years. I didn't mind it, but I knew I was too far away from family. But I didn't want to go to California. But so I had options. I had Arizona, Tennessee, and Kentucky.
So
But at the
why
same
didn't
time,
you
there's
pick
still
any of those?
because I still want to be closer to family
Which
without
is
living in
Utah.
California.
Oh, I see.
So I picked Utah. And
That
plus,
makes
too, I knew
that
more
makes
people
sense.
in Utah.
Well, that
Yeah,
makes sense
and I knew
because
more people in Utah.
yeah, that makes total
Yeah.
sense. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. So let me ask you this, brother. Do you feel like you should look into what your cultural heritage is so that you can have a black identity? Because if you don't
Um.
know who you are, you can't know where you're going.
Well.
When I
Well.
asked you
I'll
what
answer
you
this
were
question.
earlier,
Well,
you said you're black.
yeah.
Black is a
Well, no, no. I answer that
color.
question. Well, no. I know. Let me answer that. Well, I did tell you I was also Cherokee, or is it sorry, Choctaw. Point is, let me answer this question real quick. But also, we got like 3 minutes left because of the library's going to shut down.
Switch to your
But to
phone.
answer your question. But to answer your question, I do agree. It's good to know about your culture. Even my girlfriend, she's half white, half Samoan. She's told me to also know my heritage because she's big into her heritage, her Islander side.
Do you see
And
how?
my auntie,
Mhm.
yeah, and my auntie, she's the one who has done our family history on my mom's side, and so she's also told me throughout the months to learn about family history. So that's something I'm definitely interested in, but it's just not a driving force for me. But I am interested in it.
Let me ask you this question. How can you know where you're going if you don't know who you are? How?
I don't. That's a deep question. I would not answer that question.
So how do you know where you're going?
Honestly, I'm just chart my own course. Me and my
And what's
girl.
what's the foundation of the course though? Because
Just
if you don't know who you are, how do you know where you're going or
well,
where
no,
you
no,
should
I know.
go?
Well, I know who I am.
How? You don't know where your ancestors come from.
Well, yeah, but that's so superficial. I don't. It's not. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's important, but it's not important to know where I came from in the past. It's only important about where I'm going. That's the important part for me.
Brother,
Where I'm going.
my brother, are you listening to yourself? Do
Oh
you know
yeah,
that we're the only group of people who pretend like identity doesn't matter? You see how your girl's white and Samoan? She doesn't say I'm white and tan.
yeah.
Black is a color, bro. If we don't know what our heritage is, we don't even know who we are or what the history of the people who allowed us to become in this world are. And how can that not be of importance?
No, no, no. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong, but what I'm saying is I try not to put too much importance on blood. I put more importance of where you're going with your life. Ah, shoot.
But how can y'all go to this? How can y'all go anywhere together if y'all come from different places? Ain't y'all going back to where y'all came from?
Oh, I don't. Well, shoot. All right, the library's actually closing. I can't.
Lift your phone.
All right. Wait, can you pause while I go to back to my apartment?
Yeah.
All
How
right.
far is
All
your
right. Give me a
apartment?
second. It's about 5 minutes away. Give me
Yeah,
like
just
10 minutes.
send me a
So.
text when you're in the house.
All right, no problem.
All right. We're going to take a
I'll
quick
see you.
break. He's going to be driving to his residence, and we are going to continue this episode of the podcast with this discussion with our good friend Eric McCrae, who's living in Utah. Jesus. Bless him, Jesus. If there's any prayer warriors that see this video, I need us to gather together in prayer, Jesus. We need to. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. And so, um, what were we saying, Eric?
Wait, can you see me?
Nope, I can
Or how
now.
about now?
Yeah,
Okay. Shoot. What part?
I think we were talking about identity, and you said that I can't remember what you said. Um, but getting back to the overall conversation, essentially, the identity portion of it is relevant in every other portion of life because we are described by nationalities to even be granted access to places where people are. So, to say that, I mean, to say that it is not crucial, but it is important, I feel like doesn't really carry any significance because it's like, but it's important. Like the important things are the things we should do, right? So we don't want to just do what is it we're in dire need of because that's survival instinct, or we're thinking in terms of lack instead of abundance.
Mhm.
If something's important, that means it's a priority. Important things are priorities. And so there's a core reason why internally I feel like you're almost like you don't want to go on that journey because I feel like you feel like you might discover things that are going to require that you um, examine and feel emotions that could be hidden underneath the surface. Because I feel like, this past year was a huge, like, spiritual cleansing for me. And I started to take accountability for the role that I play in all my outcomes. I feel like having the most control over your life is about doing those things that are in your control to the best of your ability to essentially arrive at the outcomes that are desired. But sometimes our own egos get in the way so that we can avoid uncomfortable change or a sense of a loss of identity. Because in order to become something new, we have to shed what we're holding on to. So we don't get better in our lives because we can't let go of okay. You see what I'm saying? And it really just stems down
Kind of.
to a sense of self-value because you're worthy of all of it. So, I believe that God doesn't want us to settle on anything because you can have everything that you so desire. And life and death lies in the power of the tongue. A way that a man thinketh, so is he. And so we're supposed to dream big, think big, be artists, be expressive, but also understanding what is truly core to who we are and what is the mask that we are wearing in order to shield ourselves from confronting our trauma. Because what happens is we all have childhood traumas because trauma is inevitable in the development cycle of human beings. And those things that hurt us, I feel as though those things uh, are worn on us as masks where we reject certain internal cleansing and we start to look for something that we're really looking in ourselves and other people. So we could have good friends, we could have good relationships, we could have a good girlfriend, we could have a good wife, a good pastor, a good religion, a good city, a good apartment. All those things could be good, but without a true sense of self, I feel like people can't truly be aligned in light or aligned with the purpose that God has for their life. Because I believe that each and every one of us are created in a unique way. And I believe that the things that are true to our hearts that inspire us should be the things that we spend the most time doing. And in that way, we will live in inspiration because we spend the most time doing those things that inspire us. And we stop looking at the world as like, oh, I have to do this. I have to do this. I have to get a job. I have to apply here. I have to buy a house by 35 or I'm a failure. I have to uh, get married before I turn 35 and it's too late and there's no more opportunities out there for me. And what if this is the best one I can get? Or what if all my friends leave me? If I leave this network and go search for what I really want, like what if I'm alone? What if I don't find it immediately? We have all these hidden fears, and the biggest lie men tell themselves is that they're not afraid. And what that does is that it doesn't allow you to properly prepare for danger, spiritual danger, physical danger, or allow you to develop your intuition because you're creating or living in a dream world that you're creating based on how we wish things that were, based on the childhood traumas that we have. And for me, I had to unmask this. And I felt like it was emotional purging for 6 months, where I'm sitting there thinking, like, why am I so depressed? I've never been a depressed person. People are starting to tell me, you're not like yourself. You seem disturbed. But the hardest time, I just couldn't address what was that feeling coming from. Where did I misstep? What did I commit to that I shouldn't have committed to? What did I choose? What path did I choose that wasn't the right one for me? And I really started to do deeper introspections, and I also started to examine my own behavior more in depth and saying, okay, what are some ways that I need to improve the way that I relate and communicate with people? Because like when I started my company, my first company was Ego. And ECO stands for empathy, connection, and oath. And what most people fail to do is that you should first seek to understand so that you can be understood. That's empathy. And if you have empathy, you can make a connection with someone that is based on a genuineness and living in the spirit of truth. And if you take an oath to doing that, the world becomes an amazing place with amazing people in it. And a lot of the times, sometimes when we feel like we're lacking in connection, like from the place where the connections we have feel rich and the people around us are like inspiring us more than we can imagine our friends doing. And it's like we will give up on the world where we're valued for the one we're accepted. And you got to get to a place where I feel like you don't want to be accepted, you want to be valued. Accepted's not good enough. I want to be valued. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I got you.
Yeah. So like, I mean, I don't know if you're feeling that or if that's resonating with you, but I mean, this is a part of what was on my journey in the last 12 months. A lot of deep diving and finally doing cleaning house on decisions and things that I've done in the past up until this point in my life. And I also confronted my own like self sense of identity crisis. Because sometimes you'll get to certain targets in your life that you feel like you've always wanted those things, and then you get them and you feel more empty than you've ever felt. See what I'm saying? And so that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of what led to this journey taking place. And so I want to encourage you to spiritually clean house in the sense that, like, what if holding on to what you have is preventing you from gaining all that is valued of you?
Well, I ain't got much.
You don't have to have much to be much.
Yeah,
That's why I
but you
started
talking about in
saying,
terms of what?
that's when I start talking about values. Like when you say, like, oh, you don't have to have an identity to be successful. What's success?
For me, it's more up to the individual about what success is.
That's what I'm asking. What's success to you?
Well, for me, it's just having that financial freedom to spend time with my family and do things properly. That's it, really. I'm pretty simple.
Yeah. So basically, the money that is required to sustain your family is all that you define as success, or is that just a part of it?
A part of it. I would say also too, in the future, I do want to get into a home and I can pass that down to different generations.
Yeah. So you want to own property, but what about your what about non-material success? Have you thought about what your goals are that are non-material forms of success that are important to you?
Talking about spirituality,
No, that's not what I said. I just said, are there forms of non-material success that you ascribe to?
just to be more self-educated, to think more clear, more deeply. I mean, I'm not trying to be the next Alan Watts or Mark Twain, but I'm definitely trying to be more enlightened.
Who the fuck is Alan Watts and Mark Twain?
Oh, Huckleberry Finn is Mark Twain, and Alan Watts is a philosopher from like 60 years ago. Long
Let
story
me
short, he's a philosopher.
let me ask you this, brother. So, do you have any books that you read that Black people wrote as well?
I bought a few, but I haven't read into them yet.
But you read the other ones?
Yeah, I'd say so. A lot of Greek
Yeah.
books, European.
Why do you think that is?
That's just what they taught us on the in the Western Hemisphere. So obviously, it caught on to me.
Yeah, I mean that's an honest answer. I mean, I that's why I'm encouraging you to deep dive because you know I don't think that reading about Western philosophy or Greek mythology or even just philosophy that originates from Europe or various places in the world. Like I'm not preaching a divisive message, but I am preaching a message of connecting with self and also feeling confident expressing the things that you value about your own culture and sharing that with the world the same way that other cultures share with the world things that they are proud of that are expressions of their culture. You know, like Germans create Mercedes Benzes. They're proud of things they manufacture, just like any country. But like if you notice, Black Americans are the people who tend to not have that sense of self-identity to where like if you meet somebody that is an immigrant from Mexico, you'll see a Mexico flag next to an American flag because they're Mexican first and American second.
Yeah,
See what I'm saying?
yeah,
But like we want to be accepted so bad. We shun our identity and say, yeah, we're American and all people are the same and everything is just, you know, peachy keen with all cultures. We all identify the same, have the same values, or we can. When it's like that's a part of the programming too. And that's not even to say that we should be at odds with other cultures. I don't agree with that at all. You know, I believe in peace. And I believe that people with opposing views, ideas, religions, faiths, all different things, or what America truly represents in its values, because the people don't have to necessarily reflect the values of what was being hoped to be achieved. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah.
like, imagine living in a society where instead of our differences leading to conflict, they lead to the celebration of those differences being in harmony. And crafting our story based around things that are historical, because one of the things that I noticed is like, I think you could do it by yourself. Like, and this is something we do as Black people. We're individually very talented, but we struggle to work in groups effectively.
Yeah, it's true.
And so we can't even stay on par with, you know, the other groups and societies merely because we have a challenge working as a team. And that comes from not having a joint identity. We're Black and not Nigerian or Ethiopian or these various things. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I got you.
Like, and so like, I don't think that there's problems with having other races of people at all, because I have friends in all races of people. But what I do know is that a lot of the times you might be misaligned and you might not see it in perspective. If you feel more connected to another group outside of your own because they don't feel that way, like white, you know what I'm saying? Like your white counterparts and good, great people. There's plenty of great people also who are of European descent, white culture. Again, you know, not preaching a message of hate, but like they're not sending their kids to Black schools. They don't want their kids to listen to rap music. They don't want to be a part of your culture. They want you to be a part of theirs. And that's fine. Like there's a middle ground where we can have differences, but also enjoy fellowship with one another as well. So like that's not a barrier for relationship, but like the idea that you're not a part of like a community that are full of young Black males around the same age, it's like, but where is your group going? And feelings and obligation to your people as well, because we have a obligation to our families first, our community and our subculture second, and the country third. So it's like after we've taken care of our families, we can contribute to our community. After we can contribute to the community, we can communicate or contribute to the improvement of the entire world, and we can consider the needs of others. But like that core loss of like us feeling like we have a center vision around things that include all of us, as different as we all even are, right? In the dysphoria. I feel like is a key thing that all young Black men should become aware of and consider more heavily the value of being connected to your group and trying to make sure that you're contributing to the community that allowed you to exist.
Well, I mean, what would that look like?
I don't know what it looks like for you. But I feel like going on that journey tells you what that should mean to you and how that plays a role in your life. It's different for everybody. I feel like as that if it becomes a priority to you as much as it is important, I feel like the doors are going to open on their own and connections are just going to find their way to you. That's going to unveil information to you. That's going to lead you closer to, the alignment that, you could be in that allows you to be connected to the community and to the entire world. I'm not saying don't connect with the world. I'm just saying make sure you connect with your community as well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and even now, like you're against it. Like you want to disagree. You want to tell me like something to where like you could tell me why you shouldn't. It doesn't matter, but you held yourself back. I saw that, and then your body language shifted, and then you
I
got your
mean,
head. You start going like this because you wanted to digress from that point, but then you knew that how it was going to sound if you did.
I just figured might as well listen to you. I mean, you don't got bad points.
But
That's the
it's not
thing.
about
You
that
don't have
being
bad
bad.
points.
Do you agree with what
I
I
mean,
said?
not on all of it,
So what parts do
but
you
I do.
agree with?
Well, I think this is going back to the original point that we made earlier. Like, I agree that it is important, but I just don't see the need to make that a priority right now. But with that said, though, if you want me to, if you can put me through a course on what you want me to do, and I'll see what I can do.
Bro, it's not about me. I can't tell you what you should or shouldn't do. What I'm gonna say is open up your heart and find your intuition, and that's gonna tell you where you should go. But you have to knock on the door for it to open. It's not gonna force itself upon you. We're attracting what we want to experience because we're inviting that into our experience by the proclamations and declarations we make with our mouths. So like if it's truly something you seek, then you those opportunities are going to present themselves. But like based on your disposition right now, and you're not going to say so on this call, but I do think in a couple of months you're going to look back and realize that you have some inhibitions about this journey and it makes you uncomfortable for some reason. It does.
I think
and
the reason
and I'm a
why,
brother just like you, so it's no judgment, but I can feel it.
well, I think that the biggest reason why, and I'm not saying you're one of these bad faith actors, but there's a lot of people out there, like, for example, Dr. Umar Johnson. He's a Pan Africanist, right? And then you got Farrakhan and so many other prominent Black leaders who I've listened to on YouTube and listened to. But I have to be fair. My issue is just it always comes off as bad faith to always worry about your race. It doesn't look good. Now, don't get me wrong.
It
Like I
doesn't
said, I
look
gave
good
you
to
leads.
who?
It doesn't look good to anybody.
Who's anybody? Not to the Black people who are benefiting from their leaders rising. Like, who are
Say it
you
again.
trying to? This is why. This is why I want you to key in on this because you said it doesn't look good. Doesn't look good to who? Like, who are you trying to impress?
Me, anybody.
It doesn't look good to Black people. For Black people to create groups of leadership that improve the culture.
Well, that's the thing, though. I can do that on my own without having to
Oh, so you could
jump
do it
through
on
all
your
those
own?
hoops. Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
And how's that working
I
out for
mean,
you?
overall, it's well. I'm going to school, got a girlfriend. I set my goals aside with her. I'm doing good.
You set your goals aside with your girlfriend.
Well, me and her set our goals together. Not aside and threw them away, but we set them together.
So you and her goals your goals and her goals are intermingled?
For the most part, yeah.
Like your goals are contingent upon her goals and her goals are contingent upon your goals?
No, that's not what I said.
Okay, so both of you guys' goals are separate, but you have shared goals.
Yes, and we're gonna
Okay.
obviously our goals are gonna be, and ended up blessing us in the future for our family. At the end of the day.
Okay. So
But she's walking a different path than me.
so how can two people walk together unless they agree?
We do agree.
You just said she's walking a different path than you.
Well, yeah, because she's getting a psychology degree. I'm getting a
Oh,
creative writing degree.
you're saying you're pursuing different career paths. Okay, I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
Okay, that makes sense. And so, why is she pursuing a degree in psychology?
she actually likes psychology. She likes working with kids, and she has the knack for it. And I also used to work with kids a long time ago, but obviously that wasn't, it wasn't for me. I didn't care for it after a
Mhm.
while. And there's a long story about that, but the point is, it just wasn't for me. So now I'm
So,
just doing creative writing. Huh?
all right, so I'm getting ready to ask you some personal questions. Are you ready? Don't pass out
Yeah.
on me, okay?
No, yeah.
You're not gonna pass
Come
out. You
on,
need
bring
some
it.
water?
No, I'll be all right.
Okay. So um the girlfriend that you picked, right? This person you picked is obviously very special to you. And
Yep.
you see yourself building a family with her. You guys have a lot of life planning that you're doing together now. So that represents obviously she's an important person in your life. What what made you pick her? Why did you pick her as your mate?
Honestly, it just happened on accident. I was long story short, I was running my mouth, being really goofy online about hitting on females, and I
Jesus.
made a comment. And we have mutual friends, but I asked her friend, "Hey, do you know any good looking girls?" And she was like, "Yeah, here's the girl on Instagram." And I saw her, and I was like, "Okay, let me blow up her Instagram and just talk to her, sauce her up." And obviously, we talked for months, and then I started to get to know her. She opened up. I stopped doing the very douchey, Playboy thing, and actually started talking to her like somebody with commitment would want to talk to somebody, if that makes sense. So I started taking her more seriously, and then I asked her out, and then like a month or two later we started dating. We talked for a while though.
Oh Jesus. Eric.
What?
Has
What?
has anybody ever tell you that you're not a very good listener?
No? What?
Because I just asked you a question and you just answer something that has nothing to do with what I just asked you.
Wait, what did you ask?
I
Ask again.
said,
I'm pretty sure I
I
answered
said,
it.
why did you pick her?
I gave you the story. It was an
You
accident.
said it happened on accident. So you didn't pick her, you just stumbled upon her.
Well, I mean, I'm just so confused as to your question. I thought I answered it pretty well. I gave you the story.
Jesus. Father God, we come to you humbly on behalf of brother
Well,
Eric.
let me ask you this. Well, how would
My
I would
brother,
have picked her then? How would you want me to pick her?
hold on 1 second, brother. I'm trying to spiritual warfare on your behalf. Okay, because because we have to intervene in times like these, and we have to hold hands and agree. Father God, we ask that you open this brother's eyes to let him know that things that start in accidents end in accidents, Jesus. We need your son to intervene and to intervene fast. Okay. Amen.
Uh-huh.
Now that
Uh,
we put that prayer for you, brother,
I appreciate that, Pastor.
uh, the reason why I said that prayer for you is because right now you're not living an intentional life. Are you aware of that?
I think it's quite the opposite.
You just told me that the reason you're with your girlfriend is an accident. And then you told me that you felt like you had to pick something. So that's why you decided to go to college to start figuring out what path you wanted to go on. What is like uh to me, and I want you to know this is not like let's attack Eric, but literally in the spirit and in the heart of like self-improvement and being able to get brothers together so that we're growing, improving, and reflecting on what we're creating in our reality and how we can help each other uh, to become more centered so that we're all growing and improving together. So I want you to know that all of this is in the spirit of love and truth, my brother.
You're good. You're good.
But I'm that because we can all be offended, especially if things hit home with us and it's like undealt with. Because I do this too. I'm still a human being. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes somebody will say something to me and I take it the wrong way. Then later on, I'll be like, yeah, but they're absolutely right. Like you wasn't on some bullshit.
Well,
You know
but
what
I
I'm
mean,
saying?
that's a Oh no, no, I agree. No, I totally agree. But I'm saying what I'm saying is though, I'm 100% confident though that I'm
Bro,
on the path I need to be on. That's why I'm not too worried about it.
by getting into relationships on accident,
Well,
that sounds like intentional. This is going to be a beautiful love story in accident.
well,
So if your
yeah,
kids ask you, so dad, what made you interested in mom? Well, son, it was an accident.
well, yeah. Well, okay. I think I understand where you're coming from. Are you saying like, and because you're more church oriented, correct?
No,
But well, more religious. You believe in
no,
Jesus. So did
no,
you pray for your wife and she
no.
appeared?
Do I pray for her?
Yeah, did you pray for her? Like before you looked for your wife, your current one, did you pray for her first?
No.
Okay, so how did you find your wife then?
I met her in junior college. Um, she was in proximity to me. I thought she was a beautiful person. She was just gorgeous. And to be honest, being as young as I was 21, the main thing that I saw was just femininity and beauty. And it's at a time in my life where you're not really considering your family, your kids. Um, how are things going to work out at the house? And, like how you guys' habits and who you are is going to dictate what your family life is going to look like. You really don't think about that stuff when you're that young.
Yeah,
But she's
you're right.
gorgeous, huh? You know what I'm saying? So that's cool.
Well, how about your current one then?
I mean, same one.
I thought you said you remarried.
No, not yet. But I'm gonna remarry.
Oh, oh, okay.
No,
Well, I mean,
I'm remarry.
I
I'm
guess
gonna.
I'm sorry. So you are
I
going
wouldn't
through a
even.
divorce.
I wouldn't really say I'm sorry. I mean, yeah, I think that uh, eh, I don't know. I don't even know what's gonna happen, to be honest with you. What really the point is though is that none of it do I take for granted, or I don't think anything is a mistake. I think that we learn from experiences in life, and we learn how to evolve and heal and forgive, and figure out how to do the best that we can. But I feel like we don't know what we want when we're younger. Like if I
Yeah.
were being honest, I would say like she probably didn't know what she wanted. I probably didn't know what I wanted. So, a lot of the times just as you get older, you could go your separate ways just based on the fact that you'll grow into your adulthood and discover that you're just really different. And so sometimes life would take you in different directions, but she's a great soul, and so she's going to you know uh get a lot done, and be a very great parent to her.
That's good.
I'll say that. So
That's actually a good way to look at it. I
yeah,
don't know. I mean, obviously, it didn't help that I gave you like the synopsis of how we met, but obviously,
yeah,
it goes deeper than that. But I just didn't feel like boring you with the details of our relationship, why I love her and why I want to marry her.
yeah. That's it. But you didn't tell me why you picked her though. You just said it was an accident. So you're making it seem
Well,
like you didn't pick her for any specific reason.
well, I mean that was my fault. I probably should have, like I said, I didn't want to like bore you to death with major details. But I
No,
guess if
like
you
just
want to hear
simple
the
things like she was very intelligent, or I loved having conversations with her, or anything it could be.
oh, I mean, well, if you want like something like that, yeah, she's like I said, she is intelligent. Me and her believe in similar things. She also comes from a Mormon background, and so we have something in common. But we're not Mormon anymore. But with that said, we
Neither of
also
you
have
are Mormon.
no. We both have these nice. We both have deep thoughts at night when we talk to each other. We're not afraid to have these arguments either.
Mm.
So
So
she does
like,
challenge me in all ways that I love, and and I challenge her in ways that she loves, and we still make it work. And of course, you can go for the easy stuff. She's beautiful and she's intelligent, but that's all easy, obvious
I
stuff.
mean, but it's not about that's just what you pick. Like, did you pick her because she was pretty? Did you pick her because she was smart? Did you pick her because you thought she was going to be a good mother? Did you pick her because she had a
Well,
great conversation?
all of the above, all of the above.
But so
But
why
with
didn't
that
you
said,
say
though,
that when
I
I
did.
asked the first time?
Well, again, I didn't want to like bore you with all these details.
Come on, Eric, bro.
That's my fault though. I should have specified obviously, but yeah.
Do I need
Going
to
forward, I'll give you more details.
do I need to shower you
Hmm?
in holy water?
I'm good with baptisms for now. I'm good.
You sure?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. You'd be a good pastor though. I appreciate what you preaching.
I don't know if I could. I don't know if I'd be a good pastor. I don't
No,
think that
I think you would.
it's not the life for me.
You know, before I do let you go, we still didn't have that discussion about like the two topics: the interracial dating and Andrew Tate.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like
Those two discussions are very interesting.
yeah, I mean, I feel like you like to you feel you identify more with like the concept of like being in servitude to the woman.
For equal.
There's no such thing as equality.
Well, when it comes to marriage, there is.
No, there's not.
You're equally important.
No, you're not.
Yes, you are.
No, you're not. So what ends up happening is
Okay.
once you have kids, I've already gone down this pony, right? What I'm saying is, and that's not a bad thing. The the mother of your children's primary obligation is to care for the children.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times in relationships in general, the disconnect in marriage comes from the shift in priorities. And sometimes that's a lot for anybody to settle. Um, and what I mean by that is like her priorities are going to shift towards the children, and they're going to shift away from you in a way that is different before you have children and you guys are just having fun. Because once you have a family, now it boils down to business, and now things are happening every single day, and you get into a much more tight knit routine, and that routine, because her primary obligation becomes the children, and they suck her life force from her, right? They eat from her, right? They depend on
You make
her
it sound
for.
so depressing.
It's not depressing. It's just life. It's just reality. Like they depend
I
on
don't
her
know.
for. This isn't depressing. It's reality, bro. If you
I
can't
don't
deal
know.
with
I
that,
disagree with
if
that.
you can if you can't disagree with it. You've never been married and you don't have any children.
I know, but I've been around plenty of married people with kids, and I can promise you they're not that depressing. The females, they're very happy to have those kids most of the time.
I never said that she wasn't happy to do what she's doing. What I said was that her priorities shift from being of what concerns you and what you desire to being the children become the primary focus of her energy. So they suck the life force from her, meaning she doesn't have as much energy to spend on you because she's supporting the children. They eat from her.
Well,
They depend
that's
on her to go to bed. Everything that your kids do, especially if you're out working and providing, is they depend on her. So her energy gets drained from that. And you have to almost transition into a different portion of your relationship because a lot of the times that's what creates the separation because you guys are living in the same world separately.
wait. So is that a bad thing that you redirect your
No, it's
attention to the next
reality.
generation? Your kids?
No, it's
Okay, yeah,
reality.
well, no, but you make but you make it seem like that reality
I'm
is
not
a very
making
horrible thing.
I'm not making anything seem like anything. I just described the reality. I said that the children take most of the woman's energy because her primary focus shifts towards the children as her primary concern. I never said that
Well,
was good or bad. I never said that it was depressing. You're making all of these words up, Eric, and you're doing a poor job of listening to what I'm saying. I just got to tell you that.
okay, that's fine, but you're doing a bad job of explaining because you're making it sound bad.
Oh,
Like you're making it seem like it's a. So is it a bad? So okay, let me ask you this. Then. Let me ask you this.
There's no such thing.
What's your
We
point?
got to address this. We have to address this first. Let's back up. There's no such thing as making something sound like something. What I said, I didn't describe it as depressing. I didn't describe it as undesirable. I didn't say that women didn't want to shift their focus to the children. I merely described that that is what happens. Do you disagree that that's what happens?
I would have to disagree.
You disagree that what part of it do you disagree with? That women shift their energy towards taking care of children when they have them?
Well, that's fine. I guess I'm sorry. Okay, that's okay. It's my fault. Maybe I'm just misinterpreting you, and that's my fault. But
is it misinterpreting or not listening? Because it's like
oh,
you either hear what I'm saying or you don't. Because you keep saying things like, I'm making it seem like, are you listening to the words I'm saying? Because that's the what I mean is what I'm saying. I don't mean anything extra or less.
Just to me, it just sounds really negative. Like that's a
How?
very negative aspect of marriage and raising
But
kids.
the purpose of marriage isn't your happiness. So I don't understand how that's in conflict.
Well no. Well, my happiness is making sure that I do my part and help with the raising of the kids. But you're making it seem like it's a
Okay.
horrible thing that she's being drained of energy.
No, it's not a horrible thing. It is a necessary part of the development of no.
Okay, but I guess what was your point though? I guess that's my confusion. What was your point by bringing that up?
My point is that in relationships, especially marriages, we're not typically prepared for understanding the shifts that happen when it becomes a family and it's not just two individuals pursuing romance.
And whose fault is that though? Let me ask you that. Whose fault do you think that is?
Nature's.
Because I don't know,
It's
because I have
nature.
to do some pushback on that.
You
Because for
how can you
me,
push back?
well, no, here's why. Because you're making it seem,
Can you stop saying
and
I'm
according to me,
what did I say? Let's focus on what I said. Making it seem like I said what I said. I didn't make it seem like I said exactly what I meant.
okay, well, here's what I'm gonna say. I'm just gonna put my foot down and say this much. If you're not willing to go that extra mile and be happy to raise the kids, then you're not cut out to be that parent, father or mother. That's my pushback on that. Like, I don't care how
I'm not
miserable we are
understanding
as a
what
family.
I never said anybody was miserable. So I'm not sure what you're responding to. The
Let's
word
just agree to
miserable has
disagree.
never we can't agree to disagree because you're simply stating an argument that I never made, and you have to acknowledge that. I never said the word miserable one time. Is
All
that
right,
correct
that's
or
fair.
incorrect?
Yeah, that's correct. You're right. That's fair.
So I'm gonna ask you, Eric,
That's
why do
fair.
you keep doing that, brother? Where is that coming from?
This is how I interpret, what you're talking about. But
But
again,
how? You just
that could
said
be
I
my
didn't
fault.
say it. No, hold on, Eric. That's what I'm saying. I'm going to challenge you because I think something's happening with that you might actually want to take a look at and be like, you know what? I might be responding to you that way, brother, for a reason that I'm not even aware of. Like, we're all here to make each other better. So it's like you don't like my main thing is like you can't say that you misinterpreted what I said because when I asked you, did I say that? You said no. So how did you misinterpret it? You just said, I didn't say that. So why did you make a statement presenting an argument I didn't make? What was the reason?
That's my fault then, because I'm interpreting, I guess, what you're saying. And this to me, it sounds bad. But I see your point though. So let's rewind.
But it
Your
only.
point was being no.
Mhm.
I'm gonna do you a
Go ahead.
favor and then do myself a favor. I'm not gonna
I don't
interpret
want to
what you're saying. I'm
interrupt
just gonna
you.
take it as face value.
Yeah.
I'll take it as face value. So
Right.
so rewind. You're saying the reality of a marriage and a relationship is to ensure that when you do raise the kids, it's not about your happiness. It's to ensure that all the energy goes towards the kids. Correct? Did I get that
No,
about right?
no, they play two different roles. The mother's primary. Welcome back. Sorry for that brief interruption. And so, what my question was essentially before you left was, why did you present that I made a statement that essentially you knew that I did not say that, but you interpreted it. That how do you interpret words that weren't spoken?
Well, again, it was just how I perceived it in my mind, the way how you said it. You okay, here's my big take from how you talk. Sometimes I know you do your best to talk straight facts, and I respect that. But
Yeah.
sometimes the way you come off, it's
Mhm.
like you're more. It sounds like you're being more negative. Like, oh, this is such a bad thing that a woman's job is to take care of her kids, and she loses her energy
So you're
because
saying that
that's my fault. Though.
so you assigned the meaning behind what I said, essentially.
Yeah,
Okay, I get what you're saying. Okay, so with that being said, yeah, no, what I'm saying is that if you're getting married or you're planning to get married, um, one of the biggest things that I would say to be concerned with is making sure that you have enough in common that will sustain the periods of discomfort while being together. Because, both parties are going to make a sacrifice in different areas along that journey because it's inevitable. You're sharing a life.
Yeah.
And when those push and pulls happen, or separation happens, or space is needed, you have to know that, like, going into marriage, that like you will not be the object of what you're trying to build there. It's like you're building a business,
Yeah.
and your
No,
family is
that's fair.
your business, right? Like, so it's like you take care of the needs of the mother so that the mother can take care of the needs of the children
Yeah.
and
I am one,
raise them
and
under
I'm 100%.
your instruction.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm 100% down with that. I mean, that's a mindset that I've had for, like, I want to say the past few years. It's just finding someone who is on a similar wavelength was the issue.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And when it comes to interracial dating, we didn't get to
Yeah,
touch on that. I don't think that interracial dating is wrong or anything like that. Um, I do know that it's something that is more common in America, where there's
yeah,
a more diversity allowed than in other places, and with that comes a host of problems that only history, can write for us, because it's like we have to learn from those past experiences. Um, you know, she's mixed. Uh, what is that called when you have more than two races? Biracial.
well, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, biracial. I was gonna say if
so,
you're being racist, it'd be something else.
yeah, something like that. But like even in that, and it's not just about black and white. Like any different cultures of people. Like some of my relatives have, where my cousin is black, the child's mother might be Mexican, and there's different races. But I've also noticed that there is going to be a point of contention where communication breaks down because cultural barriers don't allow for the unspoken understanding to take place that prevent certain dialects from taking place in a way that like is natural, because like you guys are just coming from two different places with things. So it's like it's not something that's like detrimental. But when I do look at the statistics, I did notice that interracial couples have a higher rate of divorce,
Hmm.
and I think a lot
See,
of it has to do with that.
that's
It's
fair.
it's
I've
easy
done the
for
research on it though.
communication. Yeah, like, but the statistics support that, right? Do you agree?
Well, I mean, I haven't done the research, but I'll take your word for it. I trust you.
Yeah. Uh, but times are changing. I mean, I think that all things are possible. I definitely don't think that race determines if your relationship can be a success. I think that what has to happen is for people to truly be able to look at bare bones whatever they're getting into, or whatever family that they're joining arms with, and be able to communicate past that barrier, or have a plan to know that this is going to come up, and how are you going to address it when it does. So
Yep.
that would be more so what my thoughts would be on it.
Hmm. All right. I mean, that's actually a very reasonable approach.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just sharing my experience, observation, whatever have you, and in hopes that people will, be able to avoid pitfalls, or at least be more prepared for potential experiences that they could have, as they discover partners and have multicultural unions. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
no, no. Yeah, no, I agree with that. It's definitely important to talk about those things because you're right. Culturally speaking, she's from Utah. I'm from California. She's from the country. I'm from the city. Black, white. Obviously, there's differences there, and culturally too.
Yeah,
How I talk, how she talks.
yeah. Like even
But at
just
the same time,
like simple things like, but black people, we're very animated. We could be a little bit loud at times.
exactly.
Certain things, like, they'll take it as like, oh, you're yelling. It's like, no, this is just how I talk. You know what I mean?
Like,
It
yeah,
could
no,
be
I know what
something
you
as
mean.
simple as that can cause a whole big fight that don't even have to happen.
Yeah, and I agree, and that's why I always say communication is key.
100%.
So long as you communicate, I feel like there's less of an issue. When you stop communicating with your spouse, that's when issues arise.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like there's certain things that, you know, you can only see it when you experience it. But, you know, I feel like your conversations that aren't really had typically, to where people are just talking about various experiences that could help guide how people function, or, have more awareness about all the things that they could be getting involved with. So it's all just, it's a very, it can be a very stressful experience as well too, when communications are broken from, uh, people who are trying to have a cross-cultural communication, or having to amend that, could be a challenge.
Yeah, yeah, no, I got you.
Yeah. And so, do you feel like you are in a search for truth?
Overall, I'd say so.
And so, until you discover what that truth is, do you feel like the potential for you to change what kind of partner you want might change if you change what you discover to be true?
Probably not. I mean, I don't see why I can't change without keeping the partner, but who knows?
Because two people,
Maybe.
because two people can't walk together unless they agree.
Yeah, but you don't have to agree on every little thing,
But
unless specified.
something as crucial to your foundation as faith is definitely going to be a Christians don't marry Muslims.
Yep. Yeah, you're right.
Doesn't work out because two people can't walk together if they don't agree.
Sure.
But
I mean, I agree. But at the same time, like I said, it's called communication. So
it's called
we got to,
communication
be
when,
rational.
yeah, but it's like you could be rational and still not be able to walk together because y'all believe
I
different
disagree with that.
things that are in conflict. Well, why don't two people walk together and disagree all the time then? Why don't Christians marry Muslims? Why does the United States require that you identify with the core tenets of the Constitution to enter the country? Why do you have to respect the flag to be here? Like,
Well,
it matters. I don't
well,
understand what world you can live in where that doesn't matter.
here's the difference between me and a country. I have the ability to think more cognitively about these things versus a nation where it's just we have to be a certain way. It's like a
No, you
monolith.
don't have
You
to
have
be
to.
anyway. But if you want
It's
to
a
be in our
well, obviously
land,
so. To get into America or any other country, you have to abide by those country rules. But in terms of being, for example, married to you or me, it's not that important that you believe everything I believe in.
okay, but if you believe in Jesus and I believe in Allah Akbar, then we're not going to have the same principles, which would mean that there's going to be decisions we can't make together because we can't agree on the principal foundation of how we should handle this, because we don't have the same tenets of truth. So if we don't agree
That's where
on
we
what
meet in the middle.
so how do you meet
I mean,
on the middle on truth? Do you know that a man that
it's
stands
just
for, if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything, bro?
yeah,
If you'll meet
yeah,
everybody in the middle, you're gonna just be nowhere. You'll just be in the
yes,
middle, like purgatory.
yes, but it's equally also foolish to think that everybody's going to agree on every little thing. Like, let's be honest.
Bro, we're not talking about
When
every
you've been
little thing. You're moving off the point. We're talking about faith. That's all we're talking about. We're not talking about every little thing. We're not
yeah,
talking
but
about whether we should get black spoons or gold ones. That's not what we're talking
yeah,
about.
but for me though, it doesn't matter if you believe in Allah or you believe in Krishna
So
or
you would
Jesus.
so you would marry anybody with any particular set of beliefs.
If we can work it out, yes. Again, that's where rationality comes in.
Oh Jesus. You know that they
That's
say
that's where rationality comes in.
you know that the road to hell is paved in Ivy League degrees?
Wait, say it again.
The road to hell is paved in Ivy League degrees.
Like
Because
that.
we would try to over philosophize simple things because
Well,
we are taught how to deconstruct ideas and use reason, and sometimes we ignore intuitive facts or things that are presumably obvious for the sake of being able to make a strong rational argument of the opposing view.
yeah.
Like, have you ever
I mean,
noticed how wealthy people are dumb?
what's it? I mean, yeah, yeah. I wouldn't say they're all dumb, but yeah, I see your point.
Yeah, because when you're dumb, life is more simple. Like, you don't have to do all this philosophizing and shit and being like, yo, you got XYZ fallacy in your argument, and we have to just go into these circle jerks of over philosophizing simple concepts. Like, I don't think life is supposed to be complicated. Like, they say that the devil brings confusion. When you're confused, be wary, because God is not a God of confusion. If you're truly aligned in your personal God presence, your God power, the power that's in you, you're not going to be confused about anything. You're going to know exactly where you're going and why you're going there. And that's going to allow you to walk a clear path. But a man can't serve two masters lest he neglect the other. So, like, we be thinking we can have it both ways. You can go both directions. You can't. You
No,
see what I'm saying?
I mean, yeah, and definitely understand that. But well, luckily though, I've been in a fortunate situation where my girl and I agree with the same God. You know, but with that said, I don't want you to
But
think
y'all
it'd
said
be an end all be all.
y'all both don't believe in that God no more.
But no, we don't believe in the Mormon version of it.
So what
We still
version do
believe in
you
Jesus
believe in?
Christ's atonement, huh?
So you do believe in Jesus Christ?
Yes, but not in the traditional Mormon sense.
How about the traditional Christian sense? Because I'm
As
trying to
far as
figure
we
out what
understand,
Jesus are you believing in?
well,
Like, what is the
well, here's my thing.
description and theology and epistemology behind what your now are your newfound beliefs around Jesus?
Well, I would have to say I believe, me personally, I believe in Jesus as far as man has translated him through the King James version. But again, I'm still like you said earlier, look for enlightenment. One of my enlightenments is just trying to understand that version of Jesus versus the Baptist or the Catholic or the
But
Mormon
what
version.
version? The Christian version or which version?
Well, I mean, we're talking like like the traditional Christian or like 2,000 years ago Christian. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not a big fan of the newer version of Jesus. He's been bastardized.
So what is the version of Jesus that you believe in?
I don't know where to start. That's the honest truth. But I don't believe in the Catholic or the Mormon version.
Oh, Jesus. So you're not sure which Jesus you believe in?
Precisely.
Okay, so basically what you're saying is you're discovering how Jesus fits into your life and what your understanding of it is.
Okay, yeah, that's a lot better well put. Yes.
Okay, I get what you're saying. That's a lot more clear. So um let me ask you this. We didn't get to dive into this very much. Why haven't you forgiven your father?
I told you earlier. I did.
And what did he say?
No, I didn't tell him. I just started
So
actually,
you
acknowledging
haven't
him.
forgiven him then because you haven't told him.
No, no. I mean, I don't gotta tell him. He knows through my actions. I don't hold animosity towards him anymore.
But you still haven't gotten delivered from that fully. You know why? Because you
Hmm.
can't even say it to his face.
I don't feel like I have to. I feel like it's more of a his issue than it is my issue. As long as I have
The
no hatred in
reason
my
why
heart
you
towards him.
hate the reason why you hate him is his issue. Do you see how
No,
you
hated. No, hated. Past tense.
it was his fault why you hated him? He made you hate him.
No, I didn't say that, but I'm saying past tense. I used to hate him.
So why haven't you told him that you've forgiven him?
because he knows through my actions. I text him here and there, talk to him,
So that means
I
he knows
acknowledge
that
him.
you forgive him, bro. I'm just gonna let you know right now, bro. We gotta, bro. We gotta get on this. All right.
Mm.
I love you, my brother, and I'm seeing the hurt in you, and I wish I could hug you right now because it is so hard for us.
I,
I have very similar traumas
I think I'd be
with
all
my
right
father
without
as well.
them.
Bro, you can't even tell your father you've forgiven him, bro. And you're saying you're gonna be all right.
Yeah, I don't have to tell him.
But so you're gonna assume he knows.
If I'm actually acknowledging him and treating him right, then yes, he should know. That should be common
So
sense.
why don't you want to tell him so that you can release him from the guilt and all of the pain that he's went through because he's made mistakes? Why don't you want that for him?
I mean,
Why do you want him to feel bad about what he did, about his mistakes?
I don't want to feel bad.
Yes, you do, because you won't tell him you forgave him when that could mean the world to him. Think about how much that would mean for his son to tell him he forgives him. And you would rather him be in mental bondage and anxiousness about all these mistakes that he made, regrets that he's had in his life as a man, and you don't even want to tell him that you've forgiven him, brother. You don't think that there's anything to consider there to revisit that topic and say, you know what, I can't say admit it to you right now because it's still a fresh wound that God is working on. But will you promise me that you're going to think about what I said?
Oh yeah, no, I can do that.
All right,
Yeah,
because you're still mad at him because you want him to suffer.
I didn't say that.
No, you do because
See now,
you know he's
see now,
suffering.
now you're assuming. Now you're assuming what I'm saying.
No, I know it because I did exactly what you did. I wanted my dad to know that he caused pain in my life. So I wanted him to feel pain in the form of how I treated him so that he could feel what I felt like he caused.
But that's not my intention at all, though.
But why haven't you released him by forgiving him?
If he wants to talk about it, he can talk about it. But
But
I did
if
my part.
you said you wanted to forgive him, or you did, but you don't want to tell
I
him
did.
that you forgave him, so that he could be released from the hurt that he probably has around the regret or the things that he did that hurt you as well. You don't think that there's a reason
Well,
to tell someone you've forgiven them? You're telling me this doesn't make sense to you. This is foolishness.
no, I get it. But what I'm saying is, if he really feels a certain kind of way, he can approach me. He has my number. He texts me here and there. He
So
says, "I
you're
love you."
that's why I keep saying, brother, I really feel like this is still hurting you because it's almost like you may feel like in the past when you wanted your dad to reach out and connect with you, maybe he wasn't able to, or something prevented him from being in a place where, like, he could start trying to heal from whatever it is that caused that break or that separation. And it seems like you're kind of doing that to him right now in reverse. So it's like, well, if you want to talk, then talk to me, because it's like almost like we want to identify with our fathers, or we want the acceptance of the father in full. You see what I'm saying? And you understand me? Now you feel like your father reconciled that by approaching you with something to start that healing process, brother. But I want to encourage you to mutually, because it's very hard for him as well. Like my dad committed suicide. So I've already been down certain roads where there's no more talking about this. And your father is
Mm.
alive. This is something that you don't think about till your father takes his last breath. And you realize all these pointless, dumb arguments that you had about nonsense and judgments that we have about our parents and what they're supposed to do or how they're supposed to present themselves to us as fathers. All of these things make us judge our fathers, but God didn't bring us here to judge our parents because we were all born in sin, meaning we were not born perfect. We were all born with degrees of ignorance that caused us to make mistakes in our lives. And so really just encouraging you, brother, to seek restoration in that relationship, because there's going to be a lot of healing that takes place where he's going to feel encouraged to meet you halfway where you really feel like that's what you want from him, and that's why you want him to step forward in that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And
Oh
getting
yeah,
to a
yeah.
place where now he feels comfortable because you're building confidence in the fact that you desire that connection. Because I'm sure that it's probably a shameful experience when your kids hate you, or when your kids go through that experience being mad at you. It's like it's hard for you to. It's hard for me to think about kids being angry with you or disappointed, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I just want to encourage you that it might be a good idea to release your father from the anxiety and the pain that he probably has behind making the mistakes that he did. Do you feel like you'll consider it?
Oh well, yeah. Of course, I'm not gonna say no.
But are you actually going to consider it though?
Oh yeah, I see no issue with it.
Do you think it would be a good idea?
I think it's necessary for him.
But not for you to release him from that? This is animosity speaking, brother.
I mean, I don't consider animosity because, like I said,
Because you're
I mean,
trying to make your relationship with your father only about what him and he's supposed to do, as if you don't have a responsibility to also participate in making that a healthy relationship, which comes from the trauma that we experience from our parents.
I see where you're going, but I think the issue I'm having is you're acting like as if he couldn't just come up to me and talk to me.
I'm not acting like
Like
that.
I hold zero animosity towards him. Like I
But
let
you
that go a long time ago.
but you haven't because you haven't released him from it. That's what I'm trying to say to you, man.
And again, he can always approach me.
But why
He
don't
can
you
always
want
approach me.
but do you love your father?
Yeah,
Why did it take you so long to answer?
I said yeah.
You really didn't want to say yeah, but you feel like if you would have said no, then we would have been having to really address how you really feel.
Well, no, actually no. I said yeah. There's no issue.
Come on, brother. In the spirit of truth, bro. That's not how you really feeling in your heart of hearts, bro. And you right now, you're not being true to yourself. You trying to
I am.
make it. You trying to make it seem a certain way. You know what I'm saying? You understand me? Like, but it's okay to say what's really on your heart, and it's okay to like acknowledge that those experiences hurt you and that you desire things from your parents. You know.
Well, yeah, I know, but I've already crossed that bridge though. That's what I'm saying. Like all the animosity, I buried that. It's over. It's
But
tossed
that's
out.
what I.
It's
But
gone.
that's no. But that's what I'm trying to explain to you, brother. You haven't gotten past it.
I mean, I don't see how.
No, you haven't. I promise.
I mean,
Do you trust me?
well, I mean,
Do you
not in this regard. No,
do you trust me?
not in this regard.
Trust me when I say you haven't gotten past it.
I mean,
Will you
I
just
can take your
trust
word
me,
for it. But I'm pretty fast.
Eric? You're not past this. This is deeply hurting you.
It's okay.
It's not okay, right? Do you know that everything else is going to align in your life when you forgive your father?
It's a possibility.
You said what?
I said I can see that being a possibility.
No, it's not a possibility. It's an absolute fact. Do you trust me?
Some things, yes, but not in this regard. No.
Okay, so can this be one of the things that you trust me on? Substitute one of the other things out. Trust me on this.
All right, go on.
When you
Let me know.
when you fully forgive him is when you're gonna be able to pursue a relationship with him, and the fear of rejection or the hurt of rejection or what we're perceiving as rejection can be fully removed from our emotional experience or attachments to what I call constructed ideas of what the world we wanted to look like when we were kids. You said what? So yeah, with that being said, um, I feel like it's very hard um, to come to acceptance about the masculine and the feminine energies going through the separation phase where we make judgments about one or the other party depending on how things play out, and it shapes our worldview and traumatizes us. And so once we find God, we find peace, and that peace will become restored unto you again. and that inner turmoil and the resentment that we don't want to further acknowledge, because then it tells us we're forced to change, and we have to deal with like the uncomfortable, like, ooh, I don't like the way that I seem when I address what's really on my heart. But like truly getting rid of that baggage is to fully accept the ugliness in ourselves, because we all got
Mhm.
to dig that ugliness out. You know what I'm saying? Like ugly judgments that we have, ugly
Yeah.
perspectives. And, that's why I just want to really encourage you to go on that journey, because I believe that, and I know for a fact that it's gonna absolutely change your experience with everything when the closure and the disappointment with the masculine takes place, because it'll fully remove you out of the feminine energy that might still be present from the mother, because you have to forgive your mother too.
I mean, I've
Where
never, I've never disliked her.
Of course not, but you probably loved her more than anyone in the world, right? You were more closer to her,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so she tried to protect you from the world and gave you her world. You understand me? But without adopting that alongside your father's world and understanding the place that that had and the genetic impact that it had in creating the entirety of you. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
got you.
that's what I'm getting at, my friend. And so, um, are you gonna do that?
Talk
You're
to him
gonna do that for
sometime
me?
in the future. Yeah,
But
I can
what do
talk to him
you?
in the future sometime.
But what are you waiting for? What if you die
I
tomorrow?
mean, I'd much rather do it in person
Are you gonna go see your
over
father?
drinks, huh?
Yes, definitely have one of those. But I think you should. Are you gonna do that this week?
Well, I mean, I'd rather do it in person. I'm more of a personal
That's
talker
what I'm saying. Are
than
you
I am
gonna
a
go
phone.
drive? Are you gonna go drive up to wherever he's at, or fly up there, and go say, Dad, I really want to have a drink with you tonight, and I really want us to just have an open conversation. And there's some things that I just want to get off my chest, and I just want to clear it between us so that our relationship becomes fruitful, and I can enjoy the wisdoms of you in your imperfection, being fully human as you are. And so that way I can clear other things that are cluttering my life and in my mind that are preventing me from being my greatest version, as I'm called to be.
Yeah, no, I got no issue with that.
So when are you going to be
I
flying
mean,
down?
not anytime soon. No, no, I got bills to pay. I can't afford to go anywhere right now. But I'll talk to the man though.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I mean,
So
technically, huh?
so when do you think you're going to make it down then, if you had to guess?
Well, I told the family sometime around summertime anyway.
Mm-hmm. And so when's the last time you talked to him?
A couple weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you guys have a good conversation?
Not really. But at the same time, I don't really like text or call family that much anyway. Because, like I said, I'm more of a personal person. Like, if I talk to you, I hate doing it over phone. It has to be in person. It's a lot better.
Yeah. That
That's
makes
just me, though.
that makes total sense, my friend. And so are you really going to be able to fully forgive him and move forward when you guys meet? You feel like it's going to be a really valuable meeting the next time this summer?
Well, I've already fully forgiven him. But if you're asking me if I can tell him that I have, then yeah, I can. Yeah, that's not an issue.
Do you think it's going to light his world up?
Eh, I'm neutral on it.
You don't care how he feels. You feel indifference towards him.
I mean, I'm just neutral. I don't know how he'll take it. Like I said, he's not one for deep thought, and neither am I when it comes to relationships.
So my question is do you feel indifferent towards your father?
No, I love him.
But you just said you feel indifferent. Why'd you say that if that's not how you feel?
Indifferent towards his reaction if he receives it well or not. I'm indifferent towards that.
I mean, why wouldn't he receive forgiveness not well?
That's the thing. I don't
That
know.
doesn't sound sane, man.
I don't know. I don't know.
What do you not know?
I don't know how you take it.
Well, I mean, that's obvious.
Yeah,
But do you hope that he takes it well? Do you feel like it's going to be a healing experience for both of you?
that is completely up to him. I'm just the messenger.
Do you know the way that I hear that you're talking? I honestly think you want this conversation to happen. And I think that you really want him to take it well, and you're hoping that an experience comes a certain way as a result of that. But I feel like you feel like that there's a chance that the reaction that he's going to give you is going to be displeasing to you, and it could further hurt the relationship. That's what I feel like Spirit is telling me, because you're saying you don't care how your father feels. So that's somebody who forgives their father and loves their father does care about how they feel. So if you don't, you either don't love your father or you haven't forgiven him. Which is it?
I love him and forgive him. I'm
So
just neutral about it.
you understand
I'm
how
just
that's
neutral.
a do you understand how that's a contradiction?
I'm
How,
neutral
how can you love someone and not care about how they feel?
because you have to understand sometimes not everybody can be pleased. You don't always get your happy ending.
That's not the same as not caring how they feel. You said you don't care how he feels.
No, I said no. I don't care how
I
he
didn't say,
takes the news.
yeah, but do you care how he feels?
It's up to him.
That's not what I asked. I said, do you care how he feels? Why are you making this so hard, Eric?
No, I'm just being
What's
perfectly
going
clear
on
about
with
it.
you,
Being
bro?
honest.
Bro, you gotta
I'm
be
being
your
honest about it.
Eric, man. You gotta start being yourself. This
That, that,
isn't
that is
this
me.
isn't this isn't you, man.
I'm just being neutral about it. It is what it is.
This isn't you, Eric.
That's fair.
It's not you, man. Listen to yourself, man. This is crazy talk. You just said that you don't care how he feels. When I asked you, do you care how he feels? You said, I mean, I don't know how he's gonna take it.
Yeah,
Do you
I can
do you
take it.
see how you're avoiding answering the things I ask you directly? Because there's hurt there, Eric. Why are you not able to confront that hurt? Because God wants to heal you and restore you to perfect peace, which is your destiny.
I mean, like I said, we'll cross that road once we get there. But right now, I'm not super worried if he takes it well or not.
That's not what I
I just
asked. Eric, why do you keep answering things I didn't ask? I didn't ask
because
if you knew how he's going to take it.
I'm
I didn't
giving you
ask
an
you.
honest answer.
So what? A
I'm
question I
giving you
didn't
an honest
ask.
answer.
I said, do you care about how he feels? I didn't say, is he going to accept your apology? Do you know how he's going to react? I said, do you care how your father feels? That's a simple question.
Are you talking about towards the news or in general?
In general, do you care about your father's feelings?
Well, in general, yes.
So if you care about his feelings in general, you don't
Yeah.
feel great about being able to release him from pain that you know he has.
Like, I'm sorry. I'm just confused with the question.
Because
I don't feel great.
you know that forgiving him is going to release him from that pain, but you're not ready to stop torturing him yet.
I
You're not
mean,
you're not ready.
I think the confusion is on
Hold on
my
one
end
second.
again.
Hold on 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Okay, as you were saying.
No, no. I think the confusion on my end is that I feel like you have this idea in your head that I'm maliciously trying to, torture my dad.
You
That's not the
are.
case at all.
You
I'm just,
are.
I'm not. I
If
just, it is what
if
it is.
if you were in a position to free someone from pain and chose not to, what does that not make you a masochist?
I mean,
You could free
I
them from
mean,
pain, but you chose not to. If you saw somebody suffering on the side of the road and choose not to help them, what does that say?
I would assume I'd help him out.
So you're not sure of yourself? You don't know what you would do?
I would assume I'd help him out,
Why don't you know for sure?
depending on what their need was. I don't know for sure. That's the thing. I don't know
Why?
because I'm not in that situation.
But it doesn't matter. You don't know what action you would take if a situation presented itself.
It depends on the
If
scenario and if I'm equipped to
what
do it.
what phone company do you have?
Consumer cellular.
If Consumer Cellular sent you a bill, what would you do?
Pay it.
You sure?
Well, I've done it so far
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Why are you unsure of the action you would take in a position where you can
because
clearly make a
it's
decision?
because it's not every day I have bodies lying next to me in need.
I'm just saying, hypothetically, let's say that someone's leg is trapped under a van and you have super magic strength and you literally could simply move the car and remove the pain from the person. And you're not doing nothing else. You're eating an ice cream cone, walking on the beach in your flip flops. Boom. You see them stuck under the car. Are you gonna remove the pain from this person that you have the power to remove?
Oh yeah, I mean in that scenario, yes, but I have the
So
ability, the
why
capabilities to do something.
so why is your father different? You have the power to release him from pain. Why are you choosing to not prioritize restoring important relationships, Eric? What's going on?
Well, you're assuming that he's in pain. We don't know that.
So
You're assuming.
you don't think that your father it hurt him that he hurt you? You don't think that? You don't think your father loves you?
No, he does.
So if he loves you, don't you think that he cares that he hurt you?
Yeah.
So then what are you talking about, man?
I mean, what I'm talking about is again, we talk, we converse, we talk all the time now. I mean, not all the time. We talk enough. It's good.
So you're saying that you're unsure of whether or not telling someone that they caused you pain and you forgive them, you don't know how that would make someone feel positive. You're not sure if it would.
On his end, I don't know.
Why do you not feel like that's not common sense?
No, I get what you're saying, but what I'm saying is, I feel like with me and him, we're
Do you
not
see how
that
you
emotional.
ignored the question I asked you? Is that common sense? And you responded, I get what you're saying. That was your answer to me asking you, is that common sense? That's a
No,
yes or no question. And you said,
no,
what did you say,
I
Eric?
get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, but the issue, simply put, is this:
This
there's
guy
my
here.
dad, and
Uh,
this. Well, no, it's just that. No, it's just that not everybody is going to fit into your little philosophical narrative. For
oh,
example, my mom, different story from my dad. I
oh
understand how she's going
God.
to feel, but as for my dad, I don't really worry about it because me and him are dudes. We're men about it. We just say, okay, it is what it is. It
So
wasn't perfect. We're good.
being masculine is not talking about how you feel and having clear communication. That's being manly.
I mean, it's a bit distorted and messed up, but sure. I mean, I've just worked so far. And I'm not saying you shouldn't receive therapy. Yes, receive therapy. I've heard that time and time again from black men to receive it. That's not an issue.
I'm not
But what
talking
I'm
about
saying is I'm
therapy,
not worried
brother.
about it.
If you don't know who you are, you can't know where you're going. So you're gonna go nowhere fast. See, you'll think you're going somewhere, but since you don't know where you're going, you didn't put an address into your map. You just got in your car, you start driving, you say, I'm just gonna wait till something sticks out to me, or I'm just gonna wait for an accident to happen. I'm driving on the road, you see what I'm saying? And there's nothing in the map. You're just going nowhere fast. Now you're on the freeway.
All right.
We're back on the podcast. So just to wrap this up, we got 10 more minutes with our special guest, Eric McRae here, ladies and gentlemen. And so what I was saying is that you're driving down the road, there's no address in your phone, and you get on the freeway, right? So now you're traveling faster. So it feels like you're being productive. You're like, it's productive because now I'm going faster. I'm going 75, 80, but you're still not going anywhere. You're just going nowhere fast by not settling in on, okay, where's my centerpiece? Maybe I should prioritize going inward, and then that will create the external reality that I deserve, that is my birthright, right? Because if you ignore your birthright, you will fall beneath your privilege.
All right.
Do you know that you are unique and special, Eric?
Uh-huh.
You didn't know that? What's funny
Well, I
about
mean,
being unique and special?
you talk about in the Christian sense, then I guess so.
I didn't say anything about Christianity, bro. Do you see how avoidant you are? Who hurt you, bro? Let's talk about this. Bro, who hurt you, bro?
Ain't nobody hurt. Ain't nobody hurt me. We good.
You're being very avoidant and you don't like to take compliments. So it tells me that there's an internal war going on, that something is telling you that you're less than valuable, that you're less than kingship. I'm not talking about Christianity, bro. I'm not talking about Christianity one damn bit. I'm talking about
I'll take
how
the compliment.
I'm talking about how special and unique our experiences are. And sometimes people don't understand that our pain creates the story that inspires people. So we have to appreciate our pain as it relates to being able to have an impact on people in a way that is moving to them, to be a true source of inspiration and actually be the person that inspires people to change, because that's in all of us. There's a certain type of individual out there, there's a group of people, there's an audience that your voice is what would move them because they can relate to you. Just like me, just like so many other people. We're all very uniquely and talentedly gifted. And the thing about that is that when we're acting from a lesser sense of worth, that doesn't mean we think we're worthless, but we're acting from a lesser sense of worth. We don't even realize that we've set such a low bar that's beneath our privilege, that because we've internalized all of the traumas that we've experienced during our human experience in this journey. There's just so much pain that it brings. There's so many let down expectations. There's so many heartbreaks. There's so many unpredictable realities. There's so many things that you feel like you can't climb out of. And right now, what I feel is like you're not in hell, you're not in suffering, but you're right in that middle ground in purgatory where you're just like okay with anything. And if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything because anything is acceptable to you. Excellence is a standard. You can't accept anything and get anything excellent.
Yep, no, that's fair.
Is it fair or do you agree?
I agree. Oh, you're right.
Do you see how you hate to connect? You hate to agree. You like to disagree.
It's a fun thing to do.
Like you just like to debate.
Yeah, it's kind of my thing.
You want to know what you're doing right now?
Uh,
I'm being honest with you, bro. You want to know you're even having a hard time maintaining eye contact right now because you can feel me. Because you know that it's convicting your heart. You understand me? So it's like you got this is what I'm saying to you, King. What I'm saying is you got to put your crown back on your head. It's not doesn't belong on the ground. It's okay for it to fall, but you got to put it back on your head, King.
so before I let you go, then let me ask you this. Then what do you suppose I do? What would make you happy? I'm curious. And don't get all philosophical. I
You
want to know
can't
what is your thought
on what?
on the path that you expect me to take. Let's go with that. The path you expect me to take.
I don't expect you to take a path. You see, the journey of becoming the man that you're destined to be is about not giving a flying fuck about what I want for you, but fully being aligned with your desire and believing that you have a right to have what you want the way you want it. It's not about me, Eric. It's not about following what I believe. It's not about joining Christianity or Judaism or Islam. It's the path of self-discovery that includes all of the risk of making mistakes. And right now, you're so hung up on being perfect that you're failing to see the beauty in your evolution as an entire being because you're so obsessed with perfection and things being objectively true. That's why you like to argue so much. Because
Yeah.
you're seeing that there's something wrong with the world, but you can't identify what it is that you see that's wrong. You just know that you don't trust what's being presented. That's where it starts. Right where you are right now. You're like, I don't know what I believe. I just know I don't believe you motherfuckers.
I've always been a skeptic.
And here's the thing: you're never gonna please everybody, but you can be beautiful and imperfect. And what you're doing by obsessing on perfectionism is you're trying to prove you're better than your dad, bro. Because you're mad at him, bro. You're trying to break eye contact right now, but you're doing it consciously, brother. I
I'm
see
not.
you.
I'm looking
I
at
see
you.
you, and
I'm
I
looking
feel.
at you.
I see you, and I feel you, bro. But I can tell that this started to get uncomfortable.
No, I'm good. It's actually good stuff. It's very insightful. I'm not gonna lie to you. It is insightful stuff.
I'm very
Now
happy
I
that you got
disagree on
some
certain
value
things.
from the conversation.
Well, no, it was a good conversation overall. It's not a bad conversation. Just because I disagree with a lot of things doesn't mean
You didn't disagree
I'm
with
not gonna
anything.
take it to heart.
You didn't disagree with
Well, no,
anything.
I mean, well, there were some things I disagreed with. There's some pushback, but
You
overall,
didn't
I actually
disagree,
agree with a lot
bro.
of
Do you know it's
things.
okay to agree?
I mean, yeah, I agree
Bro,
when you make good points.
put your guard down, bro. Everybody who kicks you in the butt is not your enemy, and everybody that pats you on the back is not your friend. And so right now, I'm going to tell you another uncomfortable truth. Right now, your life is out of order because you haven't forgiven your father. You don't understand how much is riding on that component. Because when you realize that your father represents order, not order over other people, but order in the sense that masculinity is reason and love. So what you'll do is in your own masculinity, you hate the father, you hate your father, but you hate your reflection because of it. You hate you because of it.
I wouldn't go that far.
No, you do. You know why?
Uh,
Because you don't want to be you. Because then you'd have to start saying, oh shit, I am hurt. I am a human being too. And I can't do it by myself. If you want to go fast to nowhere, go alone. If you want to go far, let's go together. Right now, you're focused on winning instead of leading. You don't think you're worthy of leadership. Huh? Because when you're focused on winning, you don't think about anybody else. Guess what? Winners never cross the finish line last. But leaders never cross the finish line alone. Different values.
that's pretty deep. All right, all right, all right.
And right now, you're focused on winning. So you can tell your father how much better you are than him. And you need to stop that.
Well, I mean, it's not so much for him; it's for me. It's for my benefit. That's all.
Because you haven't truly forgiven him. Because if you did, you wouldn't be measuring what kind of man you are by being better than your father. Your father wants you to be better than him.
No, I can believe that. No. Yeah.
So instead of worrying about what he didn't do and all of his faults, why don't you focus on all the positive things that he was able to do and the things he did teach you and the genetics that he did give you and your thinking and intellect that came from your father?
Yeah. I mean, I want to say overall, my attitude towards him has been much better. Like I said, the past like 10 years has been chill. Been no issues. Like I'm a lot more positive about it.
But
It's
do you
good.
see how like non-intentional that is? Like I'm
What do
going
you
to
mean?
reflect on this conversation because I want you to see the centerpiece because this is how Lucifer jukes the cerebral. The algorithms will have you down in your crown decision. You understand me?
Hmm?
So because of that algorithm, we seek acceptance outward instead of inward. Then it causes us to project what we feel inside outside. So we're living inside out.
All right.
But right now, because you're thinking in a pattern right now, my brother, where you're not seeing that you're supposed to have the crown on your head. It doesn't belong on the ground. And since you're not ready to put it on, you're living in scarcity. Like there's like a lack of anything you can have in this life. Like there's 17-year-olds making $1 million on YouTube. Whatever you have, you can want. If you speak it out of your mouth and have faith and know who you are. You see what I'm saying? So it's like if you understand, you'll be able to realize that you have dominion over this outer realm, over this physical experience that we're having. Your inner spirit, if it is pure, you will be able to ascend above the darkness that governs this physical realm. And you'll be able to forgive your father and stop trying to be better than him or prove to him that you didn't make the mistakes that he made. You're going to end up repeating exactly what he did by not forgiving him for doing it. Do you feel what I'm saying,
That's
though,
fair.
King?
Yeah, no, I got you. I got you.
And
I do.
motherfucker, you look like Danny Glover. Or you look like Childish Gambino. So put that crown back in your head, King. Stop putting that thing on the ground, man. That shit ain't fly. Hating your father, that's not fly either, Pete.
Okay. You know what? All right. I'm not gonna say nothing about that.
That ain't fly.
We'll be
Pete.
here all night. We'll be here all night talking about that one. But all right, any more words of advice? Huh?
I mean, do you want words of advice?
I mean, before I go, yes. Or you can just text me books that you want me to read.
It ain't about what I want you to do, bro. You're not getting it yet.
Just give me some books or something.
What you need to do is stop reading so many goddamn books and feel with your heart. It ain't about these fucking books, bro. It ain't about being right. It ain't about knowing everything. It ain't about objective truth and all this shit that we worry about. It keeps us from having empathy and truly connecting at a heart level. Open your heart space. Allow yourself to feel things again because you've gone numb, my brother. Right now, I can feel your numbness in you. And you're laughing it off because this is an uncomfortable conversation, but you don't have to be uncomfortable. And I just want you to know this is in full support of you.
I trust you. You're a person who acts in good faith. I trust you.
But do you acknowledge that you laughed that off because it was convicting? You felt it. Don't you know I can feel your spirit?
I mean, I believe it.
Did you have fun today?
You know, overall, yeah. No, it was actually an insightful conversation.
I'm glad to hear that.
I mean, I'm not one to, huh?
I said I'm glad to hear that it was that you got value out of it, or you felt like it was a good conversation.
Well, it's good. It's been a while since I've actually shot the, breeze with people or shoot the shit. It's been a while to have, before I had the deep conversations. So it's good to have it, when they do pop up.
Bro, you gotta stop using this type of language. I don't shoot the shit. I speak with intent. You understand me?
I mean, that too.
Yeah. Do you see how language is programming you?
Yeah.
You're using words like shoot the shit. That means that to word vomit. I don't word vomit. I speak intentfully. You understand me? Right. So it's like we got to get to a place where we arrive in our masculinity and fullness so that all that we speak is truth, and every time we speak, value pours out. Or the expression of our God-like leadership and qualities and sense of self and community is expressed in everything that we say in the light of truth. So you're going to do that for me? You're going to forgive your father once and for all?
Yeah. Yes. All right. I got you.
Convinced?
You. All right.
You're sold?
Huh?
You're sold?
Huh?
You're sold?
Did
I close the deal?
You close the deal. All right. I'm buying the car. All right.
Because you'll feel so much better. So your spirit can breathe again.
Huh? But I do have to let you go, but it was a good conversation. All right.
Hey, it was great to have you on the show. And guys, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you're watching this video right now, make sure you go to Facebook and follow Eric McCray on Facebook out of Provo, Utah. Was it?
Provo.
Out of Provo, Utah. You'll see his profile up there. He's the black guy with the smiling from ear to ear. You'll see him there, folks. Make sure you hit the like button on this video. If you enjoyed this conversation, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and share this video on your timeline with people you think might be interested in seeing this video or could get some value from it. I appreciate everybody that's going to watch this video in the future. And I will see you guys on the next episode of the Alignment and Light Show. Catch you later, Eric.
I'll see you.
Peace.